like the perspective.
Say hi, Holden.
Hi, Holden.
Welcome back to another episode of the Perspectives Podcast.
It's Littyyy.
Podcast.
It's Littyyy.
Podcast. Podcast.
It's Littyyy.
Say hi, Holden.
Hi, Holden.
Welcome. Say hi, Holden. Salutations, everybody.
Holden.
Welcome.
Perspective.
Say hi, Holden.
Hi, Holden.
It's Littyyy.
Podcast.
Hold on, before we start, just because we want to make sure we can get monetized, no swearing for like
No swearing.
the first minute or so.
The first couple minutes. No, the first couple minutes.
Yeah.
The first couple minutes.
Then
Because
we're good.
I'm definitely not cursing.
No,
for
we can curse.
a whole
after.
conversation.
Yeah,
That's
no,
not happening.
I'm pretty
I
good
mean,
with
don't
that.
get it
I'm pretty
twisted.
good with
Don't
that.
get it twisted. I've done enough radio.
Yeah, me
that
too.
I know how to turn it on and off.
Yes, yeah. It
Right?
depends on the setting. It
Right.
depends on the
But like
atmosphere.
when I'm like having a conversation, it's a real conversation.
Yeah.
I got to be able to
Yeah.
curse. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
like I could restrain
You
myself
get
for the first
passionate.
couple minutes.
You
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
passionate,
Exactly. Exactly.
No, but
All
let's,
right.
let's rock out 1st
Let's-
couple of minutes,
let's-
and then we
No, we're keeping all of this.
Right.
This was great. This was
Yeah.
all good. This is all staying in.
Salutations, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Perspectives Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Littyyy Bro Flacko. This is Holden Stephan Roy. Say hi, Holden.
Hi, Holden.
Nothing changes whether we're on Zoom or we're in person.
Real
It's
life.
always the same. Today we are with our illustrious guest, artist that is like really shaking things up. Brooklyn legend, curator. Oh, I cursed. Damn
It's okay.
it.
It's okay. We're good. We can bleep the curse. We'll bleep the curse.
Right, we're gonna bleep the first one. Culture.
Start off
Curate-
with that. Yo, the
No,
intro is
run
amazing.
it, keep running
Brooklyn legend, curator of the culture,
Yeah,
right? Danny Cortes.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm adding applause.
Yo, love the intro, bro. Love the intro.
Word. Nah, I mean, you're like, you're what you do is very right. Like, so check it. The way that we open the show always really is like we tell people a little bit about us, right?
Okay.
So like you get familiar, right? Like, so Holden and me met online, right? Like, I met him online because he came across our music and did a album review that was fantastic. That was like the super in-depth album review. And then I hit him up and we did an interview, and the interview felt like therapy, bro.
Look
You
at
know what I mean?
that.
Like I felt like I went to therapy. Like usually when I do interviews, I've done interviews for so many years. You know, like when I've been rapping for so long
Right.
now, you know what I mean? That it's like I've done so many interviews in so many different places, like we were saying, like radio, used to doing things like that. So I'm used to interviews, but like I'm not used to like people like necessarily caring about my life outside of what I do, right? Like everything was always like, when you fall in love with hip hop.
Oh yeah,
And like,
the
what was
basic
what was
generic
your, where was your,
questions.
what was,
yes.
you know, like what was your like first rap? Like if you know if it's battle rap related, then it would be like, you know, conversation like, oh, what's your next battle? You know, they would ask me things like, would I ever go in love with hip hop? But it was always things like that. It was never anything centered around my life before rap. You know what I mean? To get to know me, the person. You know what I'm saying?
Dope.
So like, you know, I after that I was like, yo, we gotta do a show together. Let me bring some people to the table and let's because I want to have these conversations with my friends. I want
Right.
to get to know my friends better. You know what I mean? And so we did that, and here we are,
Yeah,
episode
I think
74.
The
You know
power
what
of
I mean?
the internet,
And
the power of expanding and
expanding and
there's
growing.
talent everywhere, and
Everywhere.
necessarily you have to grow up with someone, and it's just how
Yeah,
the
yeah.
you know, the world works, man.
Yeah, no, I think that as New Yorkers, we're built for networking online because we already
We've come from that
we're-
era.
we come from a very
Move outside. You gotta be outside.
social city, a very social city.
Right, very social city.
Right. Right.
And-
So, you know, all right. So
Yeah.
we like to get started with some basic questions. So why don't you tell the people what your name is,
Okay.
who you're known as, where you're from, and then where your parents are from.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks for having me. My name is Danny Cortes. miniature artist from Brooklyn, New York. I make miniatures, nostalgic memories through my art, and parents from Puerto Rico, and yeah, Puerto Rican, Brooklyn, New York City.
Word.
This is a '90s kid.
Word. So you were born in Brooklyn.
Born in Brooklyn.
Word.
Born in Brooklyn.
What hospital?
Long Island Hospital.
Word.
That's right there in Atlantic Avenue.
Shouts out to that because
Yeah.
we're very New Yorkers. We're very like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
So-
like we know what hospitals we were all born
Absolutely.
at. It's
it was
a very
embedded in me since I was a child, bro.
right.
Now it's like I think NYU, Langone, or something like that.
Right.
But back in the days, shout out to Long Island Hospital, Long
Right.
Island College Hospital in Brooklyn.
Word. I was born at Our Lady of Mercy in the Bronx, which is
Look at
no
that.
longer there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That also happens. Like
Right.
the hospitals
I
that
know,
you're
I
born
know.
at sometimes end up defunct.
A couple
and,
of
you know,
family members were born in that hospital.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the building, like that New York, that's the nature of New York, right? Is like sometimes like the thing that you grew up doing or living or whatever going to, it ends up demolished and something new goes up
So I
in
know
its place.
because New York City. That's
It's New York
that's
City.
when my art comes in. That's how my art comes in.
Super.
Because New York City is always evolving.
Right.
So me being a New York City kid and so in love with nostalgia, especially 80s, 90s era, which I think was the dopest era. I'm pretty sure everybody's
It's a
gonna love
great
their era, but
Nah, yeah.
it's something in the air that unites everyone from that era. It's just from
Yeah.
from the music, from the clothes, from fashion, aesthetically,
right.
and that's what it comes in is bringing nostalgia, a piece of nostalgia. It's 1 or 2 seconds. I did my job. If I could give you that feeling, you know what I mean?
Right.
Pause.
Right. Right. Nah, definitely. So let's start at the beginning.
Awesome. So we have like a typical little opening question that we
Cool.
like to get the ball rolling. When it's done, you can kind of take it in whatever direction you want. So like one time we were doing the dishes and the Black Eyed Peas song I was playing was the I Got a Feeling that I fucked that up. I got a feeling. Ooh. Anyway, so I'm vibing, dancing, doing the thing with the song on, and it got me thinking about music and the way it transcends through time, right? Because if you run that track back to like 2010, and you just think about its place in time, it's the celebratory song of the world. Everyone's partying, dancing to it. You run it up to today, and now it's on a chores playlist. It's on something that you put on when you're trying to trigger that same nostalgia you're looking for in your art, but through the music that you put on to make the boring times less boring.
Right.
And that just got me thinking a lot about the relationships that we have with music, right? Because as the little ones, they're out there partying, they don't know that they're going to grow up and become, it's going to become the chores playlist, the workout playlist, the different things like that. It got me thinking about my youth too, right? Because if you run it back to when you're young, there's all these sounds and different things playing, music on the radio, your parents' favorite jams, everything like that that's happening. And you're just sitting there as a little one. All this is going on around you. You're absorbing it because how could you not? You have no control over the environment. Sometimes you do. But most people don't have control over their environment. They're just being force-fed a bunch of music from their parents, their environment, their neighborhood, everything like that. And then it got me thinking, the show's called Perspectives. We all from different places that not a lot of us really talk about or share what it's like. So I was hoping that you could bring us back to when you were the youngest Danny Cortes you can remember being, and tell us what it sounded like to be you before you had any control over the music.
Okay, we want to know what was playing around in
like what your
in the
parents was
soundtrack
vibing.
of my life at
Yeah.
when I was a child. Yeah, a lot of salsa, a lot of 80s merengue.
Word.
A lot of like those big popping groups, like I was telling you earlier, that they were the Bad Bunnies, the reggaetons of that era. You know what I mean? So
which was like what, like the
Gran Combo in the
Gran
salsa,
Combo,
Hector Lavoe, of course,
Hector Lavoe,
Johnny Ventura,
Word.
who's in the merengue. Wow,
I know it.
So
My
many
mother-
groups that I just can't think of it right now. But it was a lot of merengue, a lot of salsa, a lot of Jíbaro music.
Word.
What's when the uncles were coming around.
Right.
And then, my personal favorites at that time, before like hip hop, before I was introduced to hip hop, of course you had the menudos. I was like a super menudo fan. Like my mom used to tell me I had the finals, the
I have
t-shirts.
pictures as a little kid in like a suit, right? Because back then you used to get dressed up.
Right.
Wild,
Oh,
like
what?
like you used to get dressed up.
You had
and
to.
like it, like a little kid, right? So like I got pictures of me as a little kid in like essentially like a menudo suit
Right.
and the menudo bowl cut haircut. That was like, you know what I mean? Like, so definitely I could empathize.
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then.
You just brought me back on that because you had to really get dressed back then. Like even if we were going
Say
to take a
word.
trip to Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
our family was decked out.
Yeah, we
Like,
were
I had
decked
a
out on the plane.
tie, I
Yeah,
had
on the plane,
shoes
you
with
were
the metal
dressed up.
tips.
You were dressed up.
You dress up. It was a celebration.
Yes.
Like just to go to Puerto Rico. Like,
Right.
That's how it was.
No, that's wild. I mean, you don't really think about that now, I suppose. I don't know.
So
People
now
dress up.
it's just trying to. Now it's
No.
comfortable. I gotta be
Yeah.
comfortable.
No, yeah.
Back then,
I mean,
you had
but
to
you
wear
know
the
what?
slack
I'm not
suits.
mad because it is well, right.
Oh, now I'm
Rico-
trying to wear flip-flops now.
Puerto Rico's legit, right? Like you can get dressed up and get on the plane and you're still fine. It's
Yeah.
a comfortable flight. It's 2 hours. It's like going to Philly. You
Right.
know, when you're from New York, it's like 2 hours away, quick. 2 to 3 hours away. You know, it's quick. It's nothing. So even if you're dressed up, you're still comfortable.
Yeah.
You're fine. But when you're flying, like I flew to Bangkok, and that was like, bro, that was like
Right.
18, 20 hours.
Sheesh.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? In a plane. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just like,
So
yo,
you gotta go the
you
flip
gotta be
flops.
comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the sweats.
you gotta be
yeah.
comfy. You know what I'm saying?
No, but
You don't
back then
wanna
I guess
be-
it was more of like a society thing.
But
like
that was the
you
way
you had
things
to
were
always be
back then.
presentable.
You were
Yeah.
presentable.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's how everybody was.
Yeah.
It wasn't just us,
Yes.
right? I
No,
think that
true.
like
If you look at the suits and the hats and all
suits
that
and the hats.
etiquettes and the like, these are, I don't know. I watch these YouTube videos where they talk about like all the etiquettes of
Yes.
like
You have to be
1950s suit,
dapper.
and, but like there's so many like specific codes to like the overcoat for this time and this many buttons and like all these specifics that if you don't do
Right.
right, it's not acceptable.
Right.
Right.
But going back into the music, let's go. A lot of Michael Jackson, Prince, and second floor. My aunt lived in the second floor, so it was a lot of soul music going on. That's why it was a big melting pot.
Right.
Of music all around me culturally. It was so dope.
I'm gonna adjust this a little bit so I can get your hat in there.
Yeah, your
Word.
hat, it matches nice.
The hat is we're gonna get to because I already know
the love for low.
right. The low the conversation is Holden's right. So like we've been doing the show for like 2 years, but like it's been mostly online.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
we developed it during
The
pandemic,
quarantine, and all
when
that, yeah.
Vice Versus from EO Dub passed away. Rest in peace, Vice Versus, of course.
Rest
you know
in
what I mean?
peace.
And we would do it on the EOW Zoom, and so we were online mostly. But like now that we were doing these interviews like back to back here, but like we'll drop them staggered one a month.
This is all
right?
a brand
Okay.
new thing.
Really what I was about to say is that I look forward to this weekend. He's here. This is his third time coming into the city. Second time that we're doing it for the interviews, right?
Yeah, this is our third
And-
ever in-person interview.
Third
Word?
third ever
All right.
in-person interview,
Nice.
right?
Okay,
Third
part of the
ever,
history.
right? Yeah. And but like I look forward to this weekend how many of the low homies he will meet.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like these are the New York things. He's
Yes,
from Montreal.
man.
I didn't mention that.
Yeah.
I fucked up.
It's aight.
Okay.
He's from Montreal.
That's facts.
So you know
That's
what I mean?
what's up.
Like, but like I feel like Montreal is kind of like Toronto, which is like a part of like this northeast thing where like there's a close relation to New York City, and there's a lot of
Really?
similarities.
Never
Yeah,
been out
between
there.
I honestly,
Montreal.
dead ass, I'm gonna say we are closer to New York City than we are to Toronto. When I go to, it feels more like familiar here than it did when I went to Toronto, which is like, I don't know, it's going more. They're closer to Western Canada than they are to New York.
Oh, okay.
That's how I see it.
Dope. I gotta go out there to Canada, man. Go
Yeah.
check out Montreal.
Yeah. Nah, it's
Nah,
definitely
you could-
definitely
All I
lit.
know about Montreal was the Expos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nah.
I
I
was a huge
mean,
baseball fan growing up,
Expo-
you know?
facts.
Yeah, I went to the last home game ever played.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they went to Puerto Rico for like a year. They did a season.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
right?
they did.
Yeah,
When
that's
when
dope.
they were in between, because I think they ended up turning into
The Washington team.
Yes,
The
Nationals. Yes,
the
yes,
Nationals.
yes.
right. So like when they were in between, I think it was when that happened.
Dope.
Right. So actually, that like leads me like you said you're into baseball. So like, what were the things when you were a little kid that you were into the most? Like,
Most
was it
okay.
like comic books, cartoons, video games, sports?
All the above, man.
All of the
A
above.
little bit of everything. You know, growing up in Brooklyn, Bushwick. You know, everybody's. It was a time. You know, not a social media time. It was you had to be social outside.
Right.
So you know, trading cards from comic books to actually going outside play basketball, baseball, SpongeBob. If you guys remember
I
SpongeBob
Yeah,
have no
here and
idea
I
what
there.
remember.
SpongeBob
Yeah,
is.
some new
New,
Skelly.
New York.
Hold
So
on,
yeah,
what
I
is
collected.
SpongeBob?
SpongeBob is a baseball,
It's
but it's against the wall. There's no catcher. Straight against the wall. It's a
mhm.
box. It's a strike zone, and it'll be like a 3-on-3, 4-on-4, whatever the case. It's similar to stickball, but without like
Bro,
running.
I don't even know what stickball is.
All right, so yeah, that's another podcast.
Stickball
You gotta
is
take it to the
street.
Bronx, man. The
So
stickball's popping
I
out
know.
there right
Nah,
now.
facts. These are big facts.
Yeah.
So stickball is played in the street, in like the actual street, right? And it's played with a broom for a stick,
Okay.
for a
Right.
bat.
And you self
So like a
no
broom
pitcher, you
is
one bounce and you know,
yeah.
and you just whenever you're
And
ready
the
to
ball
Okay.
and the ball is like a blue. It's a blue handball ball.
Okay.
So it's different than SpongeBall is
it's
usually
more of a
it's a
sponge.
spongy ball
Yes.
that has like the look of like one of those
Of a baseball, the
neon.
side the
That like lots of dogs end up with them,
Right, right,
right?
right, right,
Yes.
right, right, right.
it's a standard size baseball, but it's just made out of sponge.
Right,
Okay.
sponge.
Yeah.
And then the stick balls when we use
It's a handball.
blue handball, and then
Or the pink,
wiffle,
or the
and then
pink.
wiffle ball. also
Wiffle ball.
get-
Wow.
used to
Yes, I
get
played a lot of
too.
wiffle ball,
We played a
bro.
lot of wiffle ball growing up
Yes.
too.
That we used to play
It
wiffle ball
sounds
because
like
it
you were
helped
like
the
me. We
eye
did
coordination.
everything. So
Yeah.
I played Little League.
Yeah, Little
You
League.
know
I
what I
played
mean?
Pee Wee League, Little
Right.
League, Junior Pony,
Right.
high
You
school
kept going
ball.
then.
Yeah, high school ball.
Word.
Yeah,
Word.
yeah.
Wild dope.
Yeah,
I did not keep going.
A lot of my fans will sometimes on my comments, they'll be like, "Yo, what's up with the baseball? I played baseball with him. I played."
Oh, so
But
you were
yeah,
good.
yeah, pretty. I was okay. I was okay. Yeah,
I was pretty okay as a little kid.
we got
I
to
mean,
represent New York. We went to like this international tournament 4 years in a row
word.
with this team called Major Minors. The
Uh-huh.
Aguilas. It was like the best kids around New York City. They put them into like this all star, like a collectively, and we just started traveling. We played against Japan,
Oh,
our
wow.
hometown Puerto Rico, Colombia,
They came
Venezuela.
Did you
Yeah,
go-
they all came to like you see how the
Okay.
Little League World Series is,
Mhm.
but it's more for like junior pony, like let's say from like 17, like 16 to like 18, that group.
Word.
And we played against Holland. Japan was a crazy experience. Play all these teams come to one town in Freeport, Pennsylvania, and play ball. You know,
Word.
That's a crazy
but
experience.
that's yeah.
Did
Yeah.
y'all win?
That was in the 90s. Yeah, we lost against Japan at the last there.
Discipline Japan.
Yeah, those people they beat us mentally, man.
Word.
Those guys played mental baseball. Like, you know, before the game, everybody has like a 20-minute warm up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we warming up, cool, getting ground balls in, everything, right? Now it's their turn. These guys were warming up without a ball.
Different.
It was the coach would act like he's hitting and you see them fielding, throwing the ball around, and everybody was just like, "What the hell's going on?" They were messing with us. They were messing with us, bro.
That's incredible.
So they were getting all their coordination without a ball. You see them, they acting like they got it. They tossing the ball around. They destroyed us, bro.
Amazing.
Yeah, mentally, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So if I was to have a coach at a Little
You know
League
what?
team, I'll teach them that mental first.
Right. You know what though? Knowing I'm pretty sure that since you played that much ball, right? Like you're a fan of the sport enough that you know Japan is serious about their baseball.
Serious, yeah.
They're serious
But
about their
Japan,
baseball.
it's
They-
itself, and in anything,
Right.
they
Yeah, they excel.
they get set, they stick to that
They excel.
until
Facts.
they retire. Like
Right.
they go in since
Yeah.
a child, they go in.
I went to FIT for college courses when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like wild into fashion, you know, like that was the thing that I wanted to do And I could tell you that like from the fashion world, right? Like that's why they're so amazing with denim, and that's why they've taken off and been able to compete where like um France kind of always had the crown, right? Like going back hundreds of years, France is kind of like the way that white people make the history of fashion, right? Because
Hmm.
they tend to look down on the fashion of other cultures and right, but like other cultures also had their fashion, which
Right.
actually still lasts to this day, right? So like
And they have their traditional clothes.
yeah, all
Yes.
sorts of traditional clothes from all sorts of cultures all over the world are still relevant today and used, right? And it's not like people are necessarily like wearing Victorian clothes
Right.
nowadays, right? You're not wearing like the
Right. Like
socks with the dress
suspenders and
shoes and a
stirrups.
wig and a
Stirrups.
wig, right? So like it's not the same, but like the way that they judge fashion by their standards, right, is their standard, and like they had the crown for many a years, but
Japan.
like yeah, no, France,
Right.
France.
right, Paris, right, specifically, but like throughout the years, right? Like I think at this point, like New York City definitely has like stolen the crown in many ways because we push fashion forward in ways that like Paris could never like do the way that
We're
we
not
do.
afraid to express with ourselves,
Right.
like,
And we come up with our own things that
yeah.
end up being right like now like things that everybody else around the world goes to because we set the trend for it. But like Japan has like since the 90s like become a force in fashion,
Yeah.
and that's like again like we were saying like baseball, like anything that they do, they go
They go in
real
hard.
hard. They
Yeah.
go hard at it, and they become and they have respect
Yeah,
for
they
everything.
respect,
So
yes.
they come and they learn from us. They learn how to from the best, and then they go back home and they treat it the same way that we do,
Yeah.
but on their land.
Sometimes we take stuff for granted because we
We do.
hear,
We
like,
do.
yes, with the birth of hip hop and
Yeah.
everything. But it was a point that nobody was really breakdancing and everything. But in Japan and in Europe and
They
everything,
still are.
it was like if they were in
They still are to
1979
now.
in
To right
No,
1520
now.
in
to this
Sedgwick
day.
Avenue,
To like you said, right?
To
you
Because they
know?
this
keep
day.
going.
Because that
Till they die. This is their job
This is
and
their job, and they're
occupation,
gonna
and they become masters of their
but it's
masters.
work.
also
Yeah.
just like it's like this love of foreign culture, right? Whereas like depending on where you're from in the world, right, you have a different relationship with other cultures. I find
Absolutely.
like I was raised to be multicultural is how they called it. I was supposed to learn about everybody's culture and try to like, mishmash and absorb it all. And then I found out on the internet maybe it isn't the best idea to necessarily mishmash everything. But it made me realize that where you're born, and then you watch those Sapporo ads and shit. They're basically like, yeah, straight up, we're jacking American culture. It's so fucking
Right.
cool. We have to have the blue jeans. We have to have this stuff because it's lit. And then it's like that's actually pretty cool. But like I don't know. I respect it a lot. But then they also have that like machine organizational science stuff that we're not so good at. So they're taking all of our stuff, and we're not necessarily always trying to take their stuff back. So they
Right.
so they get
Unless it's like a IP, right? So like Godzilla and like taking
Yeah.
their
Right.
like hey, we want an American version of your
But
amazing
learning
anime
culture,
and
but a New Yorker is by default because it's like we're born into so much culture from
yeah.
from different like your neighbor could be from India and your classmate could be from China and Dominican Republic, and you get all these cultures, and you pick and you learn from everyone. You know what I mean? That's by default. Like
Flag
anyone
Day.
that doesn't say it's not around so many cultures at once, they're lying.
Right.
Especially from
Flag
New
Day,
York.
right? Growing up in school,
Yeah.
Flag
Yeah.
Day. Flag Day was
Oh
huge in New
yeah,
York City
yes.
No, we
because
had
everybody had a different flag.
Different flag.
There was wild flags in my school. Wild flags
Yeah.
from all over the countries, all over Africa,
Middle East,
all
all
over
that. Yeah.
Asia, right? Because like there were Cambodians in my elementary
Oh
school.
really?
There was Filipinos. I went to PS 96. Well, first I went to 121, and then I went to PS 96 in the Bronx. But like both, right, like neighborhoods are like 121 was like a lot of Caribbean, but like a lot of course, a lot of Black American, right? Caribbean, Jamaicans,
Jamaican,
Haitians, Puerto
West
Ricans,
Indian.
right? Like Cuban, everything,
And we learn
right?
from everyone.
And you learn
Yo,
from
I
everyone.
know like pretty much every island in the Caribbeans was on my high school is what I learned on the flag day we had. Like every island was represented.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's the beautiful thing, right? And that of having those advantages, right? Of like growing up
And you
around,
learn from different,
you learn from everybody.
like I remember going to my friend's house, and he was from Africa,
Hmm.
and they invited me for dinner, and they called it some I don't know remember the name, but it was arroz con gandule, rice and peas
Right,
with pollo guisado and all
right,
that.
right,
But it was
right.
it was just in there.
Theirs,
Yeah, theirs. But
right?
it's like, yo, this is Puerto Rican food. For me, it's Puerto Rican food.
Nah,
But it all comes
facts,
from Africa.
facts.
So I'm thinking like, oh, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I don't want to eat no African food because I don't know. That's foreign to
Yeah,
me.
when you're a little kid,
Yeah, it's foreign.
you're finicky generally.
Yeah, finicky generally. But then I'm
Right.
like, this is
Same thing.
banging. This is what my mom cooks.
I watched a documentary series on Netflix called High on the Hog.
High in the
High on the
on the
Hog.
hog, okay?
And it's basically educating on how like you'd be surprised on how much food, like all of the Caribbean and a lot of American, even American food that we consider like white, like America, like, oh yeah, macaroni and cheese was invented by white people at some point, right? Like,
Right.
and it's like, nah, actually, like
I don't think America has its own food, right?
It is, but it isn't. Nah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
American pie,
unless we're talking about
apple
the
pie, apple pie, I mean.
indigenous people, right?
Oh
Like,
yes. Yeah. I'm talking
so-
about the Dutch
but
settlement
yeah,
and all that.
all
Yeah.
that, and everything else comes. So like macaroni and cheese came from like the a dude that was the chef that was enslaved under George Washington, the president, the first president,
Really?
and his wife made a cookbook, but it was like everybody knew that George Washington's wife, Georgina, whatever her name is, right? Like she was not cooking. She was never cooking nothing.
ain't cooking.
She was George Washington's wife. She was in the White House.
Right.
They were rich. They were already like set up. She wasn't doing no cooking. So it was the slave that was the chef that was really doing the cooking.
She
So
put
like
her
when
name
you
on
look
it.
at the cookbook that's her cookbook recipes, it's like nah.
She had a bunch of ghostwriters.
Those ghostwriter, exactly. You know what I mean? Like those is his recipes. So like a lot of this food comes from a majority of it comes from like a lot of things, right? Comes from Africa. You know what I mean? Like the math and sciences from a lot of things, it all born in Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of our foods, I always try to explain it to other Caribbean people, like, right, like everything in the Caribbean, whether you're in Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic,
Jamaica.
Haiti,
St. Thomas and all that.
St. Thomas, Antigua,
Uh-huh.
all right, Bermuda, Bahamas, all the islands, U.S. Virgin Island, whatever, right? All of the islands, they all eat the same way.
Same way. We just call it
Rice,
different.
it's
And a little
just
bit of seasoning is different.
Yeah, it's not. There's difference in, right? So it's like whatever is we usually are eating. All of us are eating some type of rice and beans. So like in Jamaica, it's rice and peas.
Rice and peas.
In Puerto Rico, it's rice and beans.
Right. Arroz con gandule.
Right,
Which is
arroz
rice
con
and peas.
gandules.
Which is rice
Exactly.
and peas.
It's rice and peas.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Gandules and peas. Exactly. So it's just like one of those things where like it depends on which island you're on, which bean or pea
They eating the
is
yuca,
preferred.
they eating
right?
yuca, guineo, all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yams.
If they're more than likely it's gonna be like pig or fish because you're on an island.
Yes.
So fishing is like prevalent.
Right.
So like that's why in Jamaica, it's ackee and saltfish, and in Puerto Rico, it's bacalao.
Guisao with guineo.
In Puerto Rico, it's an empanada. In Jamaica, it's a beef patty.
A dumpling.
It's
Yeah,
all the same thing. It's a pastry with meat inside the middle.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Finger food.
and it's all made the same. And all that, right, usually stems from the slave trade.
Trade.
And because all of us,
And the colonizers,
we were just different. We were all just dropped off on different.
Yeah, we had the
different
Tainos that
lands.
had their food.
Yeah.
And then the Spaniards had their traditional food, and then also in Africa. So they combined all three elements together.
I always try to
and we got
say,
some
like, right, like
dope.
it's one of those things where like we all, right, like I think that like growing up in New York City, I've seen like a lot of like Puerto Ricans that are like they look at like Spain like they're like we have something to do with them. And I'm very much so like I feel no kinship to Spain. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're like
I don't.
and then they like they also like look that they're from Europe.
Yes.
They don't look at any of the countries that they conquered like they look at they look at us like bastard children. Right. Like nah, you not I've tried to talk Spanish to Spanians before. And they like, nah, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
With the
And
the Z
I'm
with
like,
the,
yo, you just do different, right? Because I grew up in a family that had like, my father's one of 10, and like most of them are boys, and all of them married like a different Latin American country. My father married a Nicaraguan woman.
Okay.
One of my uncles married a Guatemalan. Another one married a Honduran.
Oh, they went
Another one
international,
married an
what?
Argentine. Right. So they all went all around. So it's like I got like a pretty good ear from growing up around my aunts.
So what's your nationality? Like
My
mother,
father,
your
my father, they were all the brothers were Puerto Rican.
Okay, and
right?
your mom?
And then my mom was Nicaraguan.
Okay,
So
okay.
like they all married a different woman, right? Like they were all Puerto Rican, mother and father, right? Then they came to migrated to the United States. And they all,
took Latin
met
America
a
by
different,
storm.
different, different places, right? Some of them in Philly, some of them in Camden, some of them in New York City, and
Oh, so
then
you
some
was
of them,
really
and then some of them married
brought out
Guatemalan, Nicaraguan, right? And so like all my aunts were from a different country,
right.
right? So like I have an ear for like all these different. Like you said, the fifth and it's really just different accent. It's like America. It's just America. It's like the United States of America, right? Where like you go down south and like that's a totally different accent than what we have in New York
like
City.
American and British.
British.
Yeah, so I would say
Australian.
like Spain is like the British of.
And then even in right like Ireland, Scotland, England, they all speak different.
Same language.
Same language.
Different
accent. And then once you go into UK and Ireland, they have their own like, there's a difference between Cockney and Limerick and people in London and schools and this.
Yeah, I gotta learn more about that.
It's wild different accents.
Yeah, no, for real. Like they're the dialects, right? Like so, like. Even between New York, you're gonna have multiple dialects. And
absolutely. Absolutely, it's like someone from Paris and someone from Haiti.
Yo, telling
speaking
you,
the same language but different.
People, no, I'm from Quebec, and when I speak French,
that's right.
When I speak French, people in Paris, in particular, because the rest of France is a little more chill.
It's more different dialect.
Yeah, but also attitudes. So like France, the poorer areas will be one way, but whatever. But Paris is like mad snooty about it. So like they'll act like I'm not speaking French. They understand me if they want to, but they will just act like I'm not speaking the same language just because my accent is rough.
Well, that's how I speak to my Spaniard friends.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they'll be like, huh, what's that?
What?
You know?
It's like, bro, you understand
what I'm saying, man.
Stop playing.
Shout out to my people in Barcelona, man. And they make fun of me all the time on my New Yorkian accent.
Right, I mean, even right then there's like what like New Yorican versus like Puerto Rican.
Man, I get it all the time. I'm going next week to Puerto Rico.
Right, nice. Like my Puerto Rican family always laughs at all the different ways that I pronounce some words. And I'm like, bro, but at least I speak Spanish, son. You know what I mean?
A Puerto Rican, a New Yorican will have like 50 flags, bro, in their crib. And then when I go to Puerto Rico, not one flag I see. Only if you go to the plaza.
I mean, what I noticed the last couple times, I went in 2 times in 2021. Like I went 2 times out to Puerto Rico. And you know what I noticed more than anything? The black and white flag.
That's like the
Revolutionary Rebellion flag. Yeah. That flag, I noticed them flying it more and more. Like,
because there's a lot of
I mean, they just finished taking over the government from their own governor in Puerto Rico, right? During pandemic.
Yes. Denuncia Ricky.
Yeah, Denuncia Ricky, right?
Yeah, get him out of here.
And that's one of those things I could feel it. Like you could feel the vibes out there. It was very like Um,
Oh, so you was around that?
I
That with
went
that, right?
actually I went right at the tail
It was when
end.
Bad Bunny and Residente Calle 13, they went on top of that truck and they started like
Right.
protesting
I
or
went at
something.
the tail end, but after all that happened, but I went at the tail end of the pandemic. And what I also noticed that was kind of crazy was, right, like they just finished rebelling and all that, and yet and still during pandemic they had a curfew, and like in the curfew, like the because we were staying in San Juan, which is major city, right? So like they're gonna, it's like New York City,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like the
yeah.
New York City. I'm pretty sure it was different in the Campo, right? Like, but
That's
like
where I'm
in
from.
the city, they were the cops were doing like uh uh what do you call those? Where it's like a
Like
car
checkpoints?
cavalcade, like 10 different types of cars all at once type thing. You know what I mean?
Or like
Like a 4x4, 4x4 police car,
una caravana. That was like
a
a whole
caravan,
squad. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
caravan,
yeah.
a caravan of police vehicles,
Right.
a police motorcycle, the
They were
police
showing their
truck,
power.
like yo, that's it. It's 10 o'clock.
That's
Everybody
it. We catch you
shut
out
down
here.
city. You better not be in these
Yeah.
streets. You better
Yeah.
stay
You
inside
get
your.
a ticket or they'll whip your ass.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I went downstairs to like smoke blunts and shit because we were staying at a hotel, so like we didn't want to smoke up in the room. So like
Right.
I went outside to smoke, and they didn't. You know what I mean? Like they were like, "Yo, when you're done, go back inside." You know what I mean? I was like, "Nah, I already know." You know what I mean?
You get ballistic, go back
But
up.
but it's interesting, right? Of like that like dynamic where it's like they just finished rebelling, but they were willing to let the police, do what they had to do to keep everybody safe.
Sort of safe.
I guess. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you subscribe to the idea of like that was what was best for everybody.
Right. Well,
You know.
I'm
Debatable.
not too much with that.
Debatable.
Yeah, debatable.
I'm not so much myself.
Yeah,
so,
me neither. I'm
so,
not. I'd want to. Yeah, I won't
but
touch
there's
something
but
I
there,
don't.
but
I
there's
have
other but there's
knowledge
other
about.
people I know that for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always like to respect other people's shit.
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
like, that's why like I asked you at the beginning, right? Like if you smoke weed, because I don't want to smoke weed
No,
in your
spark up.
space.
No, get right ahead.
If you don't like smoke
No,
around
get
you, right?
No, right.
I like to respect people's space. I'm always like, I could just go smoke when I'm ready to go smoke.
Right.
I could wait to smoke. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal for me. So like if everybody else is like, yo, I'm worried for my life. I want the police to be riding around in a caravan and telling everybody to be indoors. I'm like, hey, I'm still gonna be in the right. Like as a native New Yorker, I'm used to being in the know of things.
Okay.
So like I watched this thing one time where like Jim Jones, Robert De Niro, a bunch of native New Yorkers were asked, what does it take to become like a native, like a real New Yorker? To say that you're a real New Yorker for somebody who moved here, right? And like they all had different like things that they said. Jim Jones said you have to know at least 3 afties.
3 athletes?
Afties.
Afties. Oh, okay.
After hour spots, right?
So that
like because if you don't know no after hour spots, you're not in the know of what's popping in the city. You know what I'm saying? Like if you visit the city and you go out, you're gonna think that the club is over when the club is over at 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever time they close, right?
You gotta know. You gotta have a little connect where you can get it to after.
You know what time it is.
You feeling saucy, you don't want to go home. Yeah, you gotta have the callers on deck, you know.
So like I'm pretty sure that if I lived in Puerto Rico and I wanted to be, I could have been in the afties.
Absolutely.
So like I don't care if everybody else is getting police to stay indoors till 10. By 10. That's for the people who want that. Yeah. I'm gonna be a part of the people who are, you know what I mean, doing what the fuck they want to do.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh, forget about it. During the quarantine, the pandemic era, I was in afties.
Yes,
that was like my life consisted of working on miniatures until I say 12 midnight. We're getting ready. We beat it up at 2, and we partied, man. I know it wasn't safe, but
hey, we were in curfew land.
Yeah, we were.
No, we were in literal curfew land, as in you were locked up at 8 p.m. and I'm sure there were afties but I was not a part of them. I was locked
I
in.
was in there.
That's the thing to remember, Holden, is I'm pretty sure that there was people in Montreal that was in the
dead
afties.
ass.
Yeah, everybody that's
people out
watching
there.
this,
because there's a
and
lot
you
of
guys
people
know
that
me.
had like let's say you had
They can vouch for me on that.
if you had a dog, right, you could go walk your dog. So there were like loopholes, and so there were people who had cards that let them go up because, like, if you were a delivery driver, you're an essential worker, so now you have a car. So there were people that figured it out. I just stayed home.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that on this trip, the first trip that he had, I took him out around the city.
Have you been to an afties? You've been to
no,
an afties before?
I didn't take
you
him to
gotta
no
take him.
after. Exactly. I was gonna say that, like, the first time I didn't really have the opportunity because I was focused on, I forgot what it was. We were just not focused on
honestly, we were just cruising around doing like a checklist of these are all the things to see.
Eating.
Oh, man.
Eating is the most important thing.
Oh,
to
of
me.
course.
Eating is the most important thing when people come to New York City.
Yes.
It's for me to show them. It was more important for me to show him the difference between, like, traditional regular New York City gas pizza and a brick oven pizza.
Absolutely.
I also wanted to show him, like, specialty pizza spots like Prince Street Pizza.
Yo,
and then
you got to take the scars.
right, and then chopped cheese.
Chopped cheese.
Chopped cheese was lit.
And like all these other, right, like I took him to Little Italy in the Bronx so that he could have some real Italian.
Yes.
Absolutely took him to
Absolutely.
Cucci Fritos. Absolutely took him to Cucci Fritos. Absolutely. That's also on the list. So I have different tours for different people, right? Like, I could take you on a whole pizza tour where, like, all we're doing is pizza. I could take you on, like, a Little Italy tour, and it's all Italian food. I could take you on a Spanish, like we're gonna eat. One day we're gonna eat Puerto Rican. One day we're gonna eat Dominican. One day we're gonna
do a whole
eat
tour, a whole run of that.
Colombian. Right, of nothing but that.
Yeah.
Right. But, like, when he first came, I was, like, focused on trying to get him a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So that he could have a full palate experience.
Right.
And then the second time he came was a very limited run.
Yeah, it was like
super limited, super fast.
It was quick, right?
So it was super quick. So we didn't really have much time for nothing.
You could get anything in New York City, bro.
This one, I'm not sure if the afties is gonna be tonight or Friday night. But we're definitely going to the afties, and then Saturday we're going to be at the Vice Versa show thing.
Okay.
In
Saturday?
in Brooklyn. Yeah, Saturday. We'll be in Brooklyn.
Send me that info, yo.
I got you.
Yeah,
I'll send you the flyer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm definitely taking them to the afties.
Yeah, you got to experience it. You got to experience the afties. Everybody, that's why everybody don't want to go home. Everybody's lit already.
Right.
And you're gonna
the
come out like a vampire.
Start until 2:00 in the morning. At least. You know what I mean?
Bro, that was
I get the gist of afties.
Right.
There's
the afties we used to go to, right? It starts
and
at
our
4 in the
afties
morning.
that we're probably going to is gonna be like the strip club afties. You know what I mean?
I've been to a few of those.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because there's a difference. There's some afties that are really just a bar club that just stays open until the, like, 9, 10, 12 in the next day, right? But, like, then there's strip, like, spots that are like, this is the after, like, we open here at 2 in the morning for stripping and after hour debauchery.
My buddies, bro, yeah, this club, and the afties will start at 4 in the morning, bro.
Right. Which is also the other
4 in the
time.
morning all the way to like 2 in the afternoon.
Right.
Talk about vampire stuff.
Vampire life.
And you got lawyers, doctors.
Yeah.
You know, not just any guy random off the street. You got professionals in there.
Yes.
Having the greatest time of their life.
Rubbing elbows with, by the way.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You are a New York City native from Brooklyn.
Yes.
You're not in there with a shirt and tie.
No.
You in there low-lifed out.
Low life,
you know what I mean?
whatever is wrong.
So, but this is the point, right? Like, that's New York again. To bring it back to that melting pot.
You could be hanging out with a dude with a suit.
A millionaire doctor with a millionaire lawyer.
Hang out with a lawyer. He's all suited up.
Right next to the guy who, like, you know, came up, or right next to a hustler. It'll
be a drug dealer, a lawyer, a regular schmo, and everybody just
and by schmo it could be like any job.
No,
security,
not a cornball. I'm talking about a regular average guy.
Yeah, average job.
Yeah,
average job, but definitely not the average guy. right?
If you at that time,
Because if you have like if you're making less than a certain amount of money and you're in that afty
yeah, you have no
with
business
with
in there.
right? Nah, you're one of those. You're not a normal New Yorker.
You are
You're
making
not a
this
normal.
a priority.
You might have a normal job,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
you still Superman in your off
Yeah,
hours.
absolutely,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
You
Like you
still-
the dude around your way that knows everything, that links everybody with
Bro,
this and with that. You know,
Bro, that's all types of people, man.
All
I know
types.
every type of person, bro. I know people that will go to a club broke and they will leave out of there twisted.
right,
You know what I mean?
Right,
like this.
right.
So it's just like it's how you move, shake your bake.
It's been fascinating to me to watch gambling become legal in New York City.
Bro, I remember my cousin is so
Gambling
crazy
was
with
wild.
the gambling.
You
He's
got
from
friends.
Jersey.
You got friends that you got friends that now their whole life consists
of that.
Yo, I got a group chat with my friends that we used to do a podcast, the bar gang, and they on your first trip gambling still was illegal in New York, and now
I
the
didn't
group
even know
chat
that.
went from like the group chat,
that.
us talking about when we're linking up at the bar and all sorts of things.
Well, who's betting on what tonight?
Betting on
what?
And like probably like at least 5 of the 10 people in the chat are like,
bro, it's a
like
science. These guys got it down to a science.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
my boy
Crazy.
would be like, yo, so and so is pitching today. I'm not gonna bet on him because the temperature is like the wind is blowing northeast today, and it's not gonna be and they go by like weather. They go by
it's crazy shit.
It's like they got it.
It
Like
makes a lot of sense, right? It's like card counting, but like with sports gambling.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I got friends that have all sorts of.
Bro.
I won't blow up those.
But he was telling me about I'm not betting on that because of the weather.
Yeah, and then New York City, right? Like the other thing is, right? Like I always tell people, like during pandemic, when we heard that there was gonna be like a vaccination card you had to carry,
right?
Before the cards even existed, and we just heard that you needed one, I already knew 5 people that were trying to sell me a bootleg one, because New York is the kings of what you have a rule. We're gonna find a way around the rule, around your rule, or to capitalize off your rule.
Yeah.
So the same way that gambling had, like we have a hustle for everything.
Cheeks, right?
There's hustles for like
everything.
There's hustles for like gambling now too.
I had a hustle for making bus passes.
Yeah.
In junior high school.
Yeah.
Oh, so
bus passes. So I used to collect them from everybody when they're expired. I used to collect it for everybody. Let me get your bus pass. Let me get your bus pass. Right.
I used to hustle signatures.
It was about the color.
Yeah.
So I used to finesse it. So let's say June would be pink, right? And so I'll collect all year round. I was collecting from everyone. So okay, the pink one was September last year. So I'll cut it out, edit it, boom, hook it up.
That's
nice,
crazy though, because
sell those.
That's essentially right. The beginning
of
you doing
before Metro cards.
But that's like you're doing with the miniatures.
Oh yeah, with the miniatures. Yeah, probably subconsciously I was learning all these little things.
You're already starting like working with.
So I have a question, like just to like pivot back to that. I think I saw in an interview that you used to do the little diorama thingies when you were younger, and
I did that. I necessarily didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that's what it was called, but when watching these G.I. Joe commercials in the era, the 80s and the 90s, they feed us so much commercials. That was the thing. That's toy companies will feed us so much commercials, ads.
Big time.
So, in love with my friends with Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, every 80s dope cartoon possible. So when they'll send you the cartoon, they show you the commercial, you see this dope background. For instance, on the what caught me more was the Ninja Turtles. Okay. Because they had the buildings with the fire escapes. You see the smoke coming out the wet streets. You know what I mean? So all that, I'm like, wow, it was to sell the toy. But they didn't sell none of that. You know, and if they sold a little house, it was all plastic whack shit. It wouldn't come with no fire escape. It looked dope, looked real. So I was not really paying attention to the action figures itself. It was more the background. So I was attracted to that. You know,
so you started creating your own background.
So with cereal boxes, right? I would make my own little buildings in my towns for the GI Joes and the
That's
Ninja
hard.
Turtles. So, but I didn't know that. Fast forward 27 years, it would come to this. You know what I mean?
No, but that's a lot of why we like to go back to the beginning times, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd say 9 times out of 10, when we ask people about their younger days, something they did as a hobby or a pastime or a
Yes.
passion project
Yes.
ultimately is related to the
Let me put that on.
Fair enough.
Pardon me, my brother.
Yeah, nah, all good.
It's all good. Even when we're not live streaming on the internet, there's still feel like
Yeah, gang.
All right, so check this. So going back to that,
yeah, like it just kind of ties into why we end up interviewing the person. What usually there's a correlation.
yeah, it definitely, because see, I love Mr. Rogers, and in Mr. Rogers they had miniatures,
Yes, they did.
right? So every time I would see Mr. Rogers, it was so dope to me that I wanted to live in there. It was like a fantasy, 'cause that's
Right.
what Mr. Rogers was. It was like a fantasy. I wanted to live in that world with the miniatures, the trolleys coming over. But I knew already as a child that that's not where I come from.
Mm.
So I go to Sesame Street. I watched Sesame Street, and that spoke to me more. Inner city.
Right.
It was the buildings were dirty, rusty.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oscar the Grouch.
Oscar the Grouch,
In the-
and you see all this colorful
Mhm.
melting pot, you know. So that spoke to me more. That's why you transition. That's why I love, people be like the Danny Cortes style. That's what they say, fans. It's all tagged up, and it's not my style. It's the streets is what it is. We take advantage. We pass by an icebox and a payphone back in the days, a mailbox, and it tells a story.
Yep.
It tells a story without even without even noticing. You pass by this clean mailbox for like 2 years. Next, it's a sticker. It's a tag, and it keeps going. It's going. It gets put on this dope makeup of rust and weathering. Everything tells a story, from graffiti battles. Like people would,
Right.
oh, I got beef with so and so. Let me go
Often.
over. But it stays there, documented on these New York City landmarks, that little accessories that we call home.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that we take for granted, because I didn't see the way it is now. Now I look at things and I'll be like, wow, what can I do to that? Like, okay, that piece, I see, okay, what can I use to make this building, that style of brick,
Right.
and now my fans and that don't come from this world tag me all the time, like, yo, I can't stop looking at a mailbox without thinking about you.
Right.
Icebox, a bodega, anything that has layers of graffiti, rust, and stickers. My fans is taking pictures of it, sending it to me, and like, yo, I think you should make this. Like they engaged, they with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like a part of my journey.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
that's the dope thing. Like I got these rich clients, and they're like, yo, this is so dope. Like, I can't stop thinking about your work everywhere now. So I opened up their mind,
Right.
So on your commute to wherever you're going, you get to notice what's around you, their surroundings. So like people, I say this in a couple of interviews, was what's aesthetically ugly or disgusting to somebody, to the person, closed-minded person, is beautiful to me.
Word.
Because again, everything tells a story.
Right.
So that's, I could narrate everything
Summarize.
summarize everything to one. Yeah.
You know what? That's very New York though.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple things that makes me think about. Like we we take people's worst nightmares, we chew them up and we spit them out, and we give them an even worse nightmare. And that's part of the ugly. You know what I mean?
What you mean by that? Say that again.
Yeah.
Like so like the other day I was having a conversation with with a friend of mine, and we were talking about like something crazy about New York, you know what I mean? And like just how like people are like elsewhere, people are afraid of certain things, right? And I was telling him that there was this documentary that I watched about like back in the 70s, the blackout, that we had, and there was
Okay.
this cop on a corner having a conversation with a reporter, informing the reporter that during the blackout, in the Bronx, like they found a beheaded gorilla on Tremont and 100 something.
A beheaded
70
gorilla
something.
during the blackout
Right.
in the 70s.
Yes.
Whoa.
So that is one of those things where, like, yo, your average person sees a gorilla and will run in the other direction.
I would run in the other direction.
Okay? Apparently, New Yorkers back
They
then
beheaded a gorilla.
beheaded a fucking gorilla, bro. You know what I mean? That's New York. We will take your
Whoa.
nightmare and we will spit it.
Got you.
Oh,
Okay,
think,
okay.
Oh, you think that's the worst that
Oh,
can
yeah?
happen
Check
to you?
this out.
Check this out. Let me show you something real
Oh,
quick.
yeah? Oh, yeah?
You
No,
know-
check this
Oh,
out.
yeah?
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah?
got you.
That's
Of
New
course,
York.
of course.
Oh,
New
yeah?
York.
Like, oh, you know?
And we just appreciate.
But I was gonna say that was the other part of what
Yeah.
I was gonna say. I remember growing up watching an appreciation for Vice before Vice was a news network or anything like that. I remember getting free Vice magazines
Wow.
and what you call it?
Williamsburg?
No, what was the record spot above
Fat
Green
Beats?
Papaya Fat Beats.
Fat Beats?
I would go to Fat Beats.
making
I
a
would
Fat
buy
Beats,
whatever
too.
the fuck, whatever it was that I was gonna buy at Fat Beats, right? And then I would always get like a free. I would get the Voice. That was free. The Village Voice.
Village Voice. I
newspaper.
love the Village
The Village
Voice.
Voice was free, and then I would get Vice magazine. It was free, and it was like pretty thick.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a pretty thick
They're
magazine.
putting some money behind this.
In the magazine, in the back, they had a lot of what you would refer to, I guess, as like
Ads.
no, not ads. You would refer to it as like what is it, like heroin chic? You know what I mean? Like naked, like chicks, like model, like pictures of like models naked with like
Like
a
pinup style?
with with like a arm. You know, like raw, like uncensored.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it'd be like an underbelly type thing.
Underbelly, yes.
Right.
Soft white underbelly.
Soft white underbelly.
Soft white underbelly before soft white underbelly
Right,
ever
in
existed.
magazine style.
Vice was doing that in the magazine.
Yeah.
I remember that.
There's interesting characters.
And I remember being like, yeah, exactly, interesting stories.
Stories.
Just different shit that nobody else was covering. The tattoo lady that
Right,
back when tattoos
The
were still
lizard.
taboo.
Dude, yes,
Right?
yes.
Back when, because we live now in the commercialization.
Yes.
Like we used to live in a society
It's a good
where
thing
the
you're saying
where the
that.
people that were tattooed were choosing a certain life for themselves.
Yes.
Now
I agree. And I
it's
lived that.
Yes.
I'm gonna
we
tell
lived
you a
that.
story real
Yes,
quick
yeah.
on that.
And now it's like the cool hip thing.
Yeah, of course.
Like-
it's
like-
part of your clothes. It's part of your fashion.
Yeah,
it's part of
your
it's
fashion.
part of the accessories.
It's part of your fashion.
Yeah.
It has nothing to
I can't
do with
rock this without this tattoo.
It has nothing to do with rebelling against society and rebelling against the way that things are. Back then, that was like a big voice to the world of like, I'm not gonna play
he's
by
rebellion.
it was telling the system, I'm not gonna work by
Right.
your rules.
Right.
So get ready.
Right.
Don't even come at me that way, the way that you come at other people. Because you see my neck tattoo.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
you
he
see
can't
my
be in
hand
society.
tattoos,
He can't
you
be a
see-
society
you see
regular
all
working.
these tattoos, you know what time
You're gonna
it
be
is.
either working for yourself
Right.
or you can't get this job. I remember going to interviews and my mother would be like, hide your tattoos. I'll
Hide
go
your
to an
tattoos.
interview to
Yes.
get this job. And like, I think I didn't get certain jobs because I had a
Right.
tattoo. You know what I mean?
I used to work human resources in my like early 20s. You know, New York City, you get caught up doing all sorts of shit. I ended I ended up being a human resources manager for, if you're a big baseball fan and you watch the Mets, right? In Citi Field at one point, they had Alliance Building Services on the back of the
Alliance
outfield.
Building Services. Yes, the Alliance Building
I worked
Services
for them.
is
I worked
maintenance,
for
right?
Yeah, they did. We had four different, all sorts of different wings underneath us. We
I
we provided security for buildings.
Yes, security.
We provided maintenance for buildings, couriers.
Yes.
And then we would even provide specialized skills like
I had a job with them.
like cleaning windows and shit
Yeah,
like that.
I got hired.
Yeah, but I worked human resources for them, and that was something that like they taught me in the human resources, was like when I would shake people's hands, right? Like give me your hand, Holden, shake my hand, right? They would teach me to like
Oh,
shake
say
at a
word.
distance so that I could get you to extend your arm so I could see if there's anything here.
Oh, they were training you
Say
to
All
see.
word.
sorts of
To
little
profile
things.
people.
Yeah, to profile people. To profile people.
That's wild.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so that you wouldn't get or so that you could be kept within certain rights.
Yeah, so
like,
when you do have an
so, like,
interview, you know what to look out, to pinpoint.
Yeah, so like just certain jobs were allowed, certain jobs weren't. And you know what I mean? And
Right.
like that was, you know, their codes that they were going by.
Right.
That was my last
Because that's how society
that was my
was.
last 9 to 5 corporate job that I was like, yo, nah, I'm gonna die if I keep doing this.
Right.
I'm
And you
gonna
know,
die.
like, yo, this could be the next manager here or an awesome employee.
Yeah.
And because I saw this tattoo on him, I just like had to like
Yeah,
Throw 'em away.
honestly,
throw him away. And then and
Great
you don't know
people.
what,
You don't know what you're missing out on.
bro. You don't know what you're missing out of. You're like
Bro,
probably
we
the
just,
next best thing, like on. And anything.
You could be the
And
person
gave him
to
this guy the
revolutionize the
opportunity.
company.
Absolutely.
You could be the person to revolutionize the company.
Just for a
and
choice
by
of life.
revolutionize, I don't mean like to the detriment
No,
of the
he
company.
could-
No, I mean to like
he could be
improve
better,
it
improve
and
it.
make it and bring it into a new
Why
sense,
not?
a new
Without a doubt.
and
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 the people
they'll
getting
miss out on
turned down.
business.
They'll get
Yeah,
turned down.
yeah,
But
miss
that's
out.
how society
I mean,
was too.
you know, it's one of those things. That's the way society was. I feel I'm happy that we are no longer in that place.
That's
I also
true.
I also
we're
do
starting-
miss a little
starting to
bit.
move
A little
past
bit of
that
it because
place.
it's getting ridiculous
I miss that the people, right? Like there's people that like are tattooed head to toe that I'm just like,
Like damn. Like okay, but
you dilute it. You don't
Yeah.
realize it, but you dilute it. You know what I mean? Karen, who lives in fucking Minneapolis,
might not relate to
is
that.
not supposed to be tattooed out like that. She can be, but like it's confusing to the world, and you also dilute the message that the rest of the people that are sending that message, right? Like the motorcycle guys.
Oh yeah, they were rebellion before
Always.
all that.
And
Yeah.
they that's why they had the
beginning
tattoos.
of it.
Circus people back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So-
You know what I mean?
So why did you
like,
get tattoos? What,
Where I get? Oh,
yeah,
because
what
it was
brought you
around
down?
me. It's around. I wanted to be. I thought it was cool.
Mhm.
That's what it was. I thought I would be. If I get this tattoo, I get looked upon better. Oh yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? That's how
basically
my
it was from,
mentality
like,
was growing up.
From the environment that you were in.
The environment I was.
It
Oh,
was
my cousin got
the
this
opposite
tattoo.
impact of what corporate America feels about the tattoos. It's almost like, oh, you don't have tattoos, son. That's what it
And
is.
more of rebellion. Like also
Yeah, yeah.
like you're not supposed to have that. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
was one of my rebellion stages of my life. But check this out. Fast forward that. Now that we're talking about, you know, with the shaking the hand of the
Mhm.
way they were training you to look out
Mhm.
for these profiling points,
Mhm.
it happened to me, but for my own grandmother,
Oh,
right? So I go to Puerto Rico. I haven't seen my grandmother in years. I was so excited to see her, and the first thing she said, because I had this a wife beater on, you know what I mean?
Right. New Yorker.
New
gang,
York
gang.
guy, you know. I was like, "What's up, grandma? Grandma, what's up?" She's like,
Mm-hmm.
gave me the hug, and she's like, "Oh, when did you get out of jail?"
Right.
That shit, it broke me.
Right.
I was like, "What? What you mean? What are you talking about? No, you're all here with tattoos. With that garbage. Get out of here."
Right.
Yeah, like if you had if in her society, her way of thinking. When
Right.
she was growing up, the only people that had tattoos was inmates, criminals.
Right.
You know, well, I say, wait, you're hiding out here in Puerto Rico or something?
Right.
I'm like, whoa. And that was the last time I had a communication with my grandmother.
Oh, that's crazy.
wow.
Was through that. It was like, okay, I went back. I'm like, cool. I left her house, came back to the States after vacation, and she passed. So that's the only
That's
thing.
unfortunate.
Unfortunate that a tattoo and a way of thinking
Right.
would like, you know,
keep you guys from really.
Yeah, like I wanted to chill with her and everything, but
Right.
no, she was like, "Oh, I gotta go to church."
Yeah.
So
No,
You can't come to church with
you
those
can't come to
tattoos,
church with that. I'm like, oh, word.
You know.
Okay.
I'm very forgiving of my parents and our parents' parents and our parents. They're like, you know, there's a lot of like new age shit that like I'm always in the middle of things. I'm always like, yo, I'm not extreme of anything, and I feel like our parents, they just lived in a society that was
Yeah.
what was expected. and they were so trained by the people that created these societies that they didn't realize that they were trained. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's facts.
I look at us, right? Like the people of like Latin descent, right? Ethnicity, and I'm like, I feel bad for us. When I look at you ever see the Haka, the like Dwayne the Rock Johnson, his
This was
people,
none.
um
Oh yes, like the
Oh, yeah.
Samoans. and
Samoans
stuff? Yeah.
and also New Zealanders,
New
I
Zealanders.
believe,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And all of them, they have this like this dance that they
That
do
they like
when
real
somebody passes
aggressive.
away, when somebody either passes away or when somebody
It's like
gets
Yes.
stomp
married,
and
and they got
Almost like a
chant
battle
and all
cry.
this. I'm like, yo, we're supposed to have something like that. We lost it.
right.
By doing this, by doing Papa, Hijo, Espíritu
Se
Santo,
fue.
it's
It wiped
gone.
us. It took us all
Took
away
our
from all
culture
that.
away.
Yeah.
We became under the enslavement of the conquistadors from
Yeah.
Spain
Them
that
Spaniards,
brought that religion to us,
the
to our
conquistadores.
ancestors, and took away what we had.
Man, so tell the
Because
Tainos,
we
if
were
you don't
supposed to,
convert,
we
you
had
die.
our own shit like that. You know what I mean? Like we had our own chants and gods of everything. All the cultures had gods of everything. You know, in Egypt, in the Americas, of what we know as the Americas now, in these lands, in Asia, all the lands had multiple gods of everything. We worship the
Yes.
god of the
The
sun,
sun,
the god of the
the
earth,
hurricane,
the
yeah,
hurricane, the
Guatauba,
lightning and the thunder, everything.
everything
Everything
to
in certain,
harvest.
right, like you admire certain animals because you know that you can get poison from certain animals, but you also know that you can get the vaccine from that poison. Even back then they knew all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They were well
absolutely.
educated.
They
It's
were
just,
artists too.
yeah, they were
They were
artists.
communicating with
They
the
were
world with different tribes through art.
through art. Absolutely.
Facts.
When you look at the world, the oldest standing artifacts and things, right? Like the pyramids
Yeah,
and
Easter
stuff like
has
that.
it.
That's
Easter
all.
Island has.
That's all like on mostly like cultural lands. So like the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, on Africa, right? The pyramids of Machu Picchu and all this in
Everything was
Latin America,
pyramids.
the pyramids in
Aztecas in
China,
Mexico.
they all connect to, like, mathematically.
Yeah,
They're
aligned with like
lined
certain
up. They're lined
stars.
up with each other on Earth, like a perfect triangle.
And how there was no.
Yo,
But yet the conquistadors and the enslavers of like
but they also
the
like torched all these libraries and stuff, right?
Oh, they
Like,
wiped us
so like
all
we
the
literally
knowledge.
yeah, no,
have,
that's what they did
because like,
specifically in the Latin
and then
American.
like they whitewashed it, right? So that we all think that everybody back in the day is dumb, but then you really go look at like the entire back like the what you were saying, the Mexican area once there.
Machu Picchu.
The way that all that stuff is connected in just the architecture and the like the
Come
way
on.
they fucking managed water and did all this crazy
Mhm.
shit, and then like they had like revolutionary technologies for the era. And I believe they may have even had electricity at that point.
Probably
they had the
did.
water
Here's the
running.
thing: is that we think that because we lost the knowledge of it, right? Like there's no. We were saying to him. I was saying to him. I was bigging you up, right, and talking about how like I'm like, we interview a lot of artists, musical artists.
Yeah.
I don't ever disrespect anybody's craft. Everybody's craft to me is very important. I love to watch. I was just sitting back watching a 10-minute video of a guy working a grill at like a restaurant or like probably like a Waffle House type of thing. You know, he was doing breakfast, but the art of the way that you do it,
The passion
the
he has.
passion.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I respect everybody's art, right? But like in particular, I was like saying to him, I'm like, yo, what Danny does, not to like knock or put things on a level, but what you do, right, is a different type of art, and sometimes that stuff ends up Leonardo. We don't have a hit record from Leonardo da Vinci's time that still stands the test of time. You know what I mean? There's no like hit record that was like the song, the bop from back then.
For the engagement. if you're watching this in the future and you do know the hit record from
Yeah,
Da Vinci's era,
there might
put
be,
that
there
in
might
that
be,
comment section.
there might
Let
be,
us know in the comments.
let us know in the comments. I might be wrong. There might be like there might have been piano already, and you
There
know,
was definitely piano and
people,
orchestras and
you know,
stuff.
yeah, you know, but like I don't feel like there's like really like something that, but the art still is admired and respected
and
has
his
lasted
blueprints of his
and lasts
inventions.
Yo, his
hundreds of
blueprints is
years.
wild.
Blueprints. Yeah, no, I specifically mentioned Da Vinci because it wasn't just painting. He dealt with stone and inventions.
He was just
and
dope at everything he did.
Everything.
And a lot of hidden messages.
Hidden messages,
to this
codings.
day.
Yeah,
To
nah.
this day.
Super. Yeah, nah. But you know there's something special about art, you know, and artists, and you know, as a society, like you said, even going back, right? Like we communicated as a people back then through art.
Through art, yeah. Symbols.
And there clearly was communication between all those people and all those lands for there to be like.
I mean, there was definitely like wars and shit, right? So like, you guys would have a bunch of art over here, and then this army would come over and take over this land. They'd jack all the art, bring it back to their place. Then they'd come over here, steal all the art back, and it would just be like you'd create art, and it would get stolen through war,
Yeah,
and then it would travel across the world like that.
Because it had value already. It always had a value.
Like even back then, everybody knew, let's not destroy all the statues. Let's make sure to jack the statues.
Yeah, well, I think they conquered our homeland for the gold and.
I mean,
and
I think that statues are rougher because statues they weigh too much, so they wouldn't.
No, I mean,
if anything,
man. Back in the Persian times, like this wasn't random for me. Back in like those far back when they would conquer the shit, because it would be like an insult. Statues are like your historical and political figures, and a lot of time and money. So not only did we conquer you, we took the image of your man's and we're degrading him over here by putting him over there in a like lesser cool spot.
Right.
So like they really would do all this shit.
Or leaving it up and just chop the head off.
Right, because that's what they did with the Sphinx, right? The Sphinx, like they chopped off the nose. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Because they don't want you to like
it's like
see
humiliating
yourself
in the future. Like this,
right.
How we leave it. Yeah. It's like buffing somebody. Like do a beautiful mural and somebody comes disrespects it.
Disrespects your shit.
You know what I mean? So that was going on before what you were talking about.
Pre-elections time.
Yeah,
man.
Nah, these are big facts. Yo, Danny, we were just going on conversation. What? Usually we follow like a program and we like climb through the years.
No, I love it,
right?
Man.
But like what? Tell me what junior high and high schools you went to.
I went to. Let's start with elementary. I went to PS 120. Yeah, in Bushwick. Then I went to junior high school, IS 49. That's in Williamsburg, Bushwick. Borderline in the famous Graham. Where they call it Graham. Graham. Where they try to switch. They try to switch our sign. Right. They try to take out, just leave it Graham instead of Graham of Avenue of Puerto Rico. They try to take that away from us.
Right.
But us passionate, Latinos
did not let that happen.
Nah, I gotta put that right back up, buddy. It wasn't a mistake. It was a mistake. Put it right back, since you said it was a mistake. But anyway, so after that I went to Bushwick High School, not too far from here.
Word.
It's Irving, Illinois.
I see a pattern here. You're a Bushwick kid.
Bushwick kid, but I was raised also in Bed-Stuy.
Bed-Stuy.
Yeah, because we moved to Bed-Stuy.
I hear a lot of that from Brooklyn. My wife is from Crown Heights. Well, I say that she's from Crown Heights because when I met her in high school age, right? She was living on Crown Heights, but she claims Bed-Stuy because she's like she grew up there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's where she grew up. Like so she's like, nah, like you met me in Crown Heights, but I'm from a Bed-Stuy girl. You know what I mean?
It's where I grew up at. It's funny because I grew up in like Murder and Broadway. And that's the other side of Bushwick.
Right.
Right. So let's say we got Murder and Broadway, Melrose, Belvedere, Arion, Locust Park, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you cross the street to the other side, you're in Bed-Stuy. So it was the J train would divide Bushwick and divides, not used to divide. But the tracks would divide the Bushwick and Bed-Stuy. So it's like I was raised in both sides, but now we on this side. So Bushwick and Bed-Stuy.
Right.
That's where Daddy Cortes is from.
It's right there.
I know everybody knows me for Bushwick, but I claim best die too. My
Sty,
best
Sty,
die.
Sty,
Yeah, Kosciuszko
Stywick
Mossy.
kid, Stywick kid,
Stywick, yeah. A Bush die,
right,
best
Bush
die.
die, right,
Yeah, yeah, I like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
nah, facts.
But yeah, all my school was in Bushwick though.
Word. So what was the progressions as you like you did all those things as a kid, right?
Right, so
Like
you're playing
video
baseball.
games,
Oh
comic
yeah.
books,
Comic books, trading cards,
trading cards,
doodling.
baseball. You were
Every
into
New
all
York
that.
kid.
Nintendo, right?
And then
Genesis when
Two
that
hand
came
touch,
along.
2 hand touch with the
Right,
football.
2-hand touch.
Right on the block.
Right.
You know what I'm
right,
saying? Did
right.
everything. Crate basketball.
As the age as you kept going, which were they all? You kept on doing all of them.
Yeah, mostly baseball and music.
Baseball
Yeah,
and
because
music.
I come from also, if they, everyone that's watching this, they know me as, a lot of people in the music world know me as Chavito.
Chavito.
That's like my nickname in the hood.
Word.
Right.
But I grew up with Chavito. Danny Cortes is the artist.
Right, the artist.
Yeah, so, but in the music and in the streets,
So hold on, in the
it's
music.
Chavito. They call me Chavito.
So you did music as well.
Yeah, I do Spanish hip hop.
Spanish, that's
Yeah,
lit.
so a little reggaeton, but more Spanish hip hop.
Word.
So how
Yeah.
did you get into that?
Oh, because my mom's every summer she'll throw me off to growing up to Puerto Rico, right? And my brothers would always show me these cassettes. Playero 37, 38, Guatauba, DJ Nelson.
So real quick, let's give a little bit of background on those. So like Playero is like
DJ Playero.
DJ Playero and those tapes, right? 31, 36.
Yeah.
These are like
the
volumes
mixtapes.
essentially.
Yeah, it's like the DJ Clue.
DJ Clue.
But, you know?
Puerto Rico
style.
Puerto Rico style.
This is before the word reggaeton.
And before reggaeton existed. Exactly.
It was called underground.
And it was just because it wasn't reggaeton yet.
It was rap and reggae.
Because the sound back then was a very boom bap hip hop type of rap sound. So like the New York boom bap old school hit, like, so where the beats were at in rap is where the beats were at in Puerto Rico.
So let's
rap.
say
But
somebody
also with the loop in the reggaeton loop.
Is there
was
like
Shabaranks and whatever was going on in the early 90s, like the Rich Girl beat, Spraga Bands, Beanie Man, all that. That's what, we would jack in, because they used to come with instrumentals. The vinyls and everything. So they would take that instrumental and rhyme over it.
Right.
Part of it, your question. Yeah,
I was gonna be just like, do you have artists that you could list? Because for the people that aren't from here, they're gonna want to
absolutely. Mexicano, Michael Emanuel, Hector Litito, Bebe.
What was the song back then? The first one that really, right? Like the same way that like there's one that sparks you with hip hop.
Right.
There's one that sparked you for the Spanish rap.
Okay.
What was the one?
Got you.
What song was that?
All right, so I heard this Playero 38. When it goes, Puerto Rico, todo quieren fumar, por eso marihuana. That record, when I heard that, I was like, whoa, this is dope.
Yes.
I was like, okay, yes, I heard the Vico C and the Ruben DJ, all that before that. But this was like, I was like, it was different. It's like reggae, fast pace. But it wasn't until 96 when I took a trip to Puerto Rico and my brother popped in a cassette of Guatauba. Guatauba was a mixtape, a compilation album. That's what it was, really, compilation albums back then. It was Tony Touch, so I could relate off the bat, because Tony Touch from Bushwick. So I'm like, oh, he was Tony. This is Tony Touch on fire, on his peak. Right. Tony Touch, 1996. I'm like, Tony Touch is out here.
So Tony Touch was out in Puerto Rico, participating in the mixtape scene out there.
He's a pioneer in the reggaeton world.
Wow.
A lot of people don't talk about that.
Word.
So I mean,
that's
Nico
amazing
Canada,
information. Thank you.
And yeah, he's definitely a pioneer in the reggaeton world. They should definitely give him more props for that. And so. What was the question again? I'm already, my mind went a little left.
The first song that really like.
Oh, okay. So yes, this artist named Mexicano. So my brother pops on the tape. I'm like, yo, dude, this is dope because it has like a New York sound,
Mm-hmm.
but it was with his own flavor. It was spitting fast. It was so I could relate. It sounded like boom bap,
Right.
reggae, a little bit of Das Effects, a little bit of Bone Thugs,
Right.
you know. And then next, you play the next record, you got KRS-One in it.
Word.
You play the next one, you got Craig G in it. You play the next one, it'd be Daddy Yankee, Rey Pirin. So I'm like, this album had East Coast rappers,
Mm-hmm.
English American rappers, and then also in Puerto Rico. I'm like, how did that connect? Why am I missing out on this? Why I don't know about this?
Right.
And taking that trip to Puerto Rico made me discover, like, yo, they put the American artists and the Puerto Rican artists together in one album. That is dope.
Right.
Fast forward that a year later, they did the same thing. This is Elia de Leon, which he had Boricua Guerrero. So now, Daddy Yankee, before Daddy Yankee
Before.
had Gasolina,
Right.
he had a record with Nas.
Wait. With Nas.
Escobar, 1997 Nas.
What?
Yes,
That's
this is
wild.
Belly Nas.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
When?
I'm
What?
looking this up right
1997,
now.
They had-
Boricua Guerrero.
That
Google it right now.
I'm doing it. I'm
YouTube
doing
it.
it.
Boricua.
That's what Daddy Yankee goes, 30, me 60, metales,
Yo, it's called The Prophecy,
Spirit,
and
The
it's from
Prophecy.
2000. No, the great. It's on the great. No, it's a 1997 collaboration.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got to
Wow.
live that,
And-
experience that.
With Daddy Yankee.
Daddy
and
Yankee
Nas.
was already recorded with Nas.
That's serious.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you guys will, play that record when you get a chance. I know you can't play
Yeah,
it now
no,
because
listen,
of the
we
thing.
asked because like this is all a part of like you'll see when we do put out the interview, you'll see what it is that we're trying to do.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. No.
And this is gonna be a part of it. Yeah,
Check it
no,
out. Yeah, there's a lot of
absolutely.
history. I come from
Not
I
even
know a
gonna
lot of
lie. That's a
history
hard
of
clip
the
right there.
Spanish
Yeah,
hip hop.
yeah.
What's up?
That's
No,
a hard
that's
clip
a hard
right
clip.
there.
That's a clip.
Yeah,
Bro,
that's
like
a clip.
right there,
That's a clip
like
right there. Right?
And then also in this album,
also the Tony Touch thing for
The
me
Tony
because
Touch.
like
No,
that's
no,
the,
facts.
he's definitely a pioneer in the
yeah,
in
him
the
being a
reggaeton
pioneer.
movement.
These are things that like people don't speak about enough, right? Like that's why I like to talk to my friends because it's like, yo, and this is why I like to have these conversations because there's a wealth of knowledge in amongst my friends, specifically in New York, that like it's criminal that the world's unaware of it. You know what I mean? And things that like most people don't know. Like if you never partied at Limelight, then you would not know that H.R. Geiger, the guy that did the alien figure for Aliens the movie, right? The
Okay.
special
Yeah,
effects
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
He did statues for Peter Gation inside Limelight
Whoa,
Club,
look at that.
right?
Look at that.
These are things that
I'm
are just
learning
like
that right now.
these are things that are just like yo, New York shit. You know what I
New
mean?
York
Like
shit.
it's just
Yeah,
it's
look at
just
that.
like you
And
either
keep
know or
learning.
you don't know.
You don't
and-
know. Or
and-
you're gonna know.
or you're gonna know. And I like to sit to talk with us because it's like, yo, you'd be surprised what you find out
No,
that's not
bro, this
actually
is
documented
history
out
in
there.
music, and
History of
we
music,
all
right,
did
facts.
music, and we all still come from music.
Right.
In this same compilation album by Elias de Leon, which he is responsible of signing Tego,
Uh-huh.
he discovered Calle 13, Joel y Randy, a bunch of artists. Elias de Leon, shout out to Elia, which also represents Bushwick. He was the one that was bringing all these artists from Puerto Rico out here. But in this same compilation album, Boricua Guerrero, The First Combat. So you got Nas. He was putting artists from Puerto Rico that was popping with the artists out here that was making noise.
Right.
So he put together Nas and Daddy Yankee, KRS-One with, I forgot who KRS-One was with, Yavia, Busta Rhymes. This is on that same album. You got Busta Rhymes in there, Big Pun, Fat Joe, Q-Tip,
Crazy.
Yo, this sounds like the kind of album that,
and this is 1997.
like, weirdly, this sounds like the type of album that I should have heard of by now because it is all these names that,
Mainstream.
like,
But me
everybody
growing up
I
in New York
know
City and
talks
going
about.
back and forth to Puerto Rico, so I love the Spanish music, reggaeton, Spanish hip hop from Puerto Rico, and I also love my New York City hip hop.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I
You
got
grew
both
up.
worlds.
You grew up with the. Listen, this is a privilege that you're speaking about. I grew up going to Puerto Rico, but unfortunately, like the family that I had, I didn't have. I had young, older than me cousins in Camden, New Jersey, and
Camden.
Philly that will put me on a wild, like crazy. You know what I'm saying? Wild, crazy. Shit. Right? Putting me on. But like when I would go to Puerto Rico,
You had no one to
no,
explore
yeah.
that.
The cousins out there were they. I had a couple cousins that had Down syndrome, right? Like loved them, but they weren't gonna be
Yeah,
able
they
to
were
put me
not
on.
in the
They weren't
mix.
gonna be able to put me on to. They
Yeah.
weren't. And then the cousins that I did have that was out there that was young, they was like in the campo, and they wasn't. They were like they were campo kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they were good campo kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they weren't trying to get.
No, thank God for my brother. My brother
They didn't even
ripped the
care
shits. He
about
was out
rap and
there.
hip hop. They cared
I don't-
about the Spanish
What's a
salsa.
campo kid?
Campo is like village kid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, village
you
and
know,
like in the
like
sticks. Like
Local
if you're
sticks, boondocks,
rural
kids,
area, right?
rural area. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
the mountains.
Country kid.
Country kid. There we go.
Country
kid.
Country kid.
So yeah, I'm from the country in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, my family too.
Yeah, a
Because
lot
my
of
family's from Añasco.
beautiful. Añasco.
Añasco.
Oh, that's not too far from.
Yeah.
I'm from the youngest town in Puerto Rico. It's like 50 years old. It's
What's-
Florida.
Okay.
It's next
Word.
to. It belonged to a sector of Manatí and Barceloneta.
Word. I already
Yeah.
know. Manatí is, I think, one of my.
So I have tons of family
yeah.
in Manatí and Barceloneta.
There's something that
and
I can't remember
Arecibo.
that's in Manatí, but like I know my family took me, my little sister. But yeah, the point being, I didn't have that the privilege of being able to have the same experience that I had in New York City of being hip to the hip shit in New York City in Puerto Rico. So I didn't have that experience. So you having that experience
so
is like that's a privilege.
I have
That's
a bunch
a value.
of cousins.
Like yo, that was a blessing
I
for
had a
you.
bunch of
You know what I
cousins
mean?
that was with the shits and
With the
PR
shits,
at my
yeah.
certain age, a little
That's what
older.
it takes. It takes
You know,
for
my
somebody to be
brother
with
was
the
in the
shits.
mix,
Yeah.
and he was out there in the street
Yeah.
hustling and bustling, doing what he got
Yeah.
to do. And this is their song. While we listening to Jay-Z, Nas, and everything out here, they listen to Mexicano, Rey Pirin, Chesina, Don Chesina, and everybody out there. So
Word.
picture this album, a New Yorican kid going to Puerto Rico and loving both worlds, and then you have this compilation album with the dopest artists from the East Coast, with the dopest artists from Puerto Rico.
And so you were saying that the Mexicano song was the song that really
it sparked the interest of me
sparked the
to
interest
pick
in
up
you.
the pen because the way he was flowing. So it sounded like
Word.
if you're doing reggaeton, but he sounded like Bone Thugs, and then he sounded
Word.
like a Coogee rap. The way he was multi-syllabling his flows.
Word.
So I was like, yo, this is dope.
Dope.
So I was like, I started picking up the pen. I started writing.
Word.
And then I started recording, and my brother kept putting me onto more stuff. Like, yo, sending me cassettes from Puerto Rico. This was popping. Before they out here,
Mm-hmm.
in the records, they was just already 2 months old out there in PR.
Right.
So he was sending me all the gems.
Yeah, everybody has their own, like I always try to, like, we, growing up in New York City, we tend to have a lot of, especially if you do rap, and you rap like a traditional New Yorker in English, right? Where like you do boom bap and shit. Like there's a lot of times with a lot of our age group friends, there's a lot of like closed-mindedness to like anything other than that style of hip hop.
Yeah.
And personally speaking, I always was the New York kid that was into me and Poison Pen, shouts to Poison Pen. We're talking about this. We're like, we were into like, I was into like the Alcoholics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like, I was not just into just New York shit. I was into 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah.
I was into everything from everywhere. So like, that like is another thing that is just like, I appreciate that everybody has their twist on hip hop.
Yes.
We were supposed to make what we made. Other people in Miami, they did Miami bass.
Right.
In New Orleans, they did bounce. In the Bay Area, they did like a different sound than what they did in LA area. You know what I mean?
And it's all hip hop.
Everybody, yeah, but it's all hip hop. Everybody got to put their twist. I don't want you to do what we're doing in New York,
right?
Because we already doing that. I already got me, and I got everybody on my block, and I got everybody in my city doing this New York shit for, I think that now it's kind of cool because young people changed it up, right? So like young people, like you have more like ASAP Rocky growing up listening to UGK now.
Right.
So now you got a Harlem kid with like Texas sound and like
New York swag.
and like a New York swag, but like Cali
And do a chop and screw.
visual aesthetic with like the
Where you got some
Texas
lowriders
sound.
and stuff.
Yeah, but with a Texas sound.
Right.
And then you got Kendrick Lamar, who's got like clearly from the West Coast.
Multi-syllable boom back
but
style.
like multi-syllable New York lyricism. Style, love. But with like a Bone Thugs and Harmony flow, you know what I mean? Midwest flow.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
That's where I grew up. But this is
you were already at the cutting edge of that back then.
Because the source told me to listen to them.
That's dope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
Source.
The Source magazine. Me being faithful to the Source magazine.
Word.
And we'll have a ad from UGK.
Right.
You will have an ad from Jay-Z. Another ad from Snoop, the West Coast artist. So if they're here, it must be dope. Let me check it out.
Right.
And that's what it was, man. I was listening to I was discovering these artists. What's that? This artist that spit fast, super
fast,
independent, not Twister, but Twister. Yeah, it's one of my top
Tech
two.
Nine.
Tech Nine. Yeah, I saw in the ad in the back of a Source. The guy's like a super independent, rich Forbes artist, bro.
Now.
Well,
back then, because I remember being on tour with Brian McKnight for the Back at One tour with the promo team, promo van, right? And he came up to us in the van, trying to get it where we were in whatever his city is. I don't know exactly what his city is.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Yes, Kansas City.
And he literally came, but he wanted us because I guess he thought that we'd be able to like pass it on to somebody. You know what I mean? But he came up.
He was on the grind before he met his.
But this is what I'm saying. He was already grinding back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who's coming in? He was clearly on it. Like, who's coming into town?
Yeah.
Okay, I know that. And he must have had somebody at the hotel because we were at the hotel with the van.
Yeah.
So he must have had somebody there, called him, or he must have already been staking out that hotel.
Back then.
But this is what I'm saying.
You
like
had to be out there.
We had to be outside.
Remember, you had to create.
That's like a really one of those interesting things, right? Because like music marketing is a hot topic to a lot of people, and it always revolves around the internet and stuff. And one of the things I'm realizing is like COVID has ended in Montreal and we're out again, is that you get so much more bang for your buck just being in a bar. Like just last night, I met so many people following on Instagrams, this, that, the next thing. And it's like, yo, honestly, this is a lot of you don't even know who you're meeting situations, and you're creating these opportunities down the line that doesn't necessarily exist in the online world. So the idea that Tech Nine had to go stake out hotels and shit to maybe, and he's been doing this since the mid 90s. Like till he only got rich 2007, 8. So there was a good 10 years of his career where he was like grinding that shit out.
Word. So
I was doing the same thing out here.
Let's get back to the story of Danny Cortes.
Every little,
so what were you?
Bar restaurants.
So to bring it back, you get put on to this world. Let's be specific again. The mixtape was, what was it called again?
Guatauba. Oh, the one I'm talking about with the Yankees in it?
With Guatauba
Volume 1.
Volume 1.
And Boricua Guerrero.
Yeah,
Puerto Rican warrior.
And so that makes you want to rap.
It makes me want to rap because I got both.
That's the name of the song from...
The name of the album.
The name of the album.
What's the name of the song?
And the name of the song is...
The name of the song...
The Mexico one.
With
Mexicano.
Isla de la Muerte on Guatauba.
Word.
The Island of Death. Isla de la Muerte.
Word.
That's on the Guatauba. Then on the Boricua Guerrero was the Daddy Yankee and Nas record.
Right. The Prophecy.
The Prophecy.
And these songs are what make you...
Like, I could do this. I love this because I got both coaches. Because I always loved hip hop. I always, in back of my mind, I'm like, I want to rap. I want to rap. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Everybody, my cousins rapped. We had birthday parties. We in the whole
like, even if you don't rap in New York City, you end up with a rap.
Yeah, but it
Of
was
rap.
something like I
Ain't
knew I
rap.
was nice. Like I knew I was nice. Like I was just
That people know you for.
Yeah, people would like I knew like if I was to write and take this serious, I could go somewhere with it.
Right.
Right.
That was my mentality in the early 90s.
Early 90s.
But I was like,
too.
yo, let me do it in Spanish though.
Right. You were already
I was
on it like,
on it.
yo.
I saw the future where everybody's like, yo, that Spanish shit is corny. Yo, that shit ain't going nowhere. Yo, shout out to my boy Cuzzo, my brother Cuzzo, childhood friend. We had this conversation not too long ago. He was like, yo, remember I used to tell you that shit is whack to leave that
whack.
shit because Spanish hip hop was corny.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
I didn't like
and
it.
I told them,
I didn't like it.
this. Remember, Cuzzo,
But it's
what I
also
told
because you don't, right? Like it's that. It like that's why I specifically say like it. If I had cousins that would have been popping in Puerto Rico, and on to the popping shit, the way I had cousins in Philly and Camden that were on their popping shit, right? Like I would have been able to get put onto it. But like if you're not, then you don't get to experience it. It's different. Like I already been loved reggaeton by the time I went back in 2021, right?
Oh,
Just like I had already like
yeah.
no, I'm saying I had
You
already
missed that whole wave.
No, I had already started fucking with it by then,
Okay.
right? By 2021, right? But like there's a difference when I partied at La Perla,
Bro.
and that vibe there, it was like, nah, I still even when I loved reggaeton on my own before being and experiencing it at La
Right.
Perla, I didn't. You don't understand it. It's the same thing as New York City hip hop and the way that people like it until you experience it like at EO Dub or at a certain place and you feel the vibe, you feel the energy, you feel that old New York
Yes.
coming back. You don't experience it that way.
Yeah.
The way that everybody curates their form of hip hop, you have to experience it in their city.
Yes.
With the people.
Yes.
Or else you don't really get the full
It's like
experience.
in Texas, it was a big chop and screw culture.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
Exactly.
even
When
hip-hop.
you're in Texas,
every little city has their own
everybody's got their
style.
own little
And
thing.
It's not even just hip hop. It's like it's hard to appreciate techno and dance music if you're never
Not in
gone
the
to
club.
like a club. Like it's
Yeah,
not,
right.
It's not
Absolutely.
head bopping headphone
It's
music.
just a culture. It's a culture.
Well, I
It's
beg to
always a
differ.
way.
I ride on the train or
But
anywhere.
like, here's the thing: I didn't even
with my
like the
headphones
music.
on. I'll be walking,
then, like,
Yeah.
I
listening to that party club.
I felt
Right.
a way about it, and then I raved. And after raving and doing some mollies and shit,
Yeah.
all of a
You
sudden,
mean expanding? Yes.
and then all
okay.
of a sudden, now I appreciate the music.
And now you can listen to it at any time.
Because like I get it now, but you don't get it until you feel the bass and a giant speaker and the lights is crazy.
Right.
And
They gotta set the mood.
Set them, yeah.
Yeah.
Until it's curated for you the right way, like
Right.
art. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like you gotta experience things kind of sometimes. That's why I also like there's certain there's vibes all the time. Look, that Drake album that he put out a couple
Honestly,
albums
Nevermind.
ago. Honestly, never mind. Everybody didn't
what
really
cover is that
like
one?
it.
How they look?
The one
What's
that
the
was
single on that?
the sticky.
Okay.
The party,
It was all the
it's
dance
like house
music.
music, dance music. The whole project was dance, house music. And I'm like, but nobody really liked it. But I'm like, it's because you already
You're not in that world.
you're not,
Like,
you're
you
not,
got,
you gotta get yourself in that. You gotta
Yeah.
go to a house party.
yeah.
And
you gotta,
fucking
you gotta set the
to-
mood.
to-
You gotta set
you gotta
the mood,
feel
man.
it in its energy. You can't ride around or go to the gym to this.
Yeah.
You gotta be in
Feel it.
you gotta
that shit
be in
blasting,
party mode.
a
for
couple of
this.
drinks in already.
You know what I'm saying?
A good
Like you
vibe
gotta
around
know,
you.
yeah. You gotta know, and you gotta experience things in their vibes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're on that, like part of that chop and screw shit was like, yo, they were on lean.
Yeah, you gotta be
They were
leaned up
leaned up.
to
They were
experience
leaned up.
that.
So like,
yeah.
yo, you slowed up
Chop this
and
screw.
you start
yeah.
hearing that chop and screw, and you like, son, this is fire. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so everything has its, and you should experience those things in their environment.
Yeah.
You don't have to strictly, right? But you should if you become a fan of any one of them.
Anything.
You know what I mean? Like if you become a fan of New Orleans bounce, you should go to New Orleans. You
Yeah,
should
experience it so you can
in New Orleans.
go into the culture.
If you become
go
a fan
into
of
that.
like
yes.
Jersey Club or Miami Bass or G-funk.
And it brings you to a different to meet new people.
Yeah.
And then
also-
they'll put you on to other shit. Yo, this is what it is. It's like when I came back from Puerto Rico, and now I got these both worlds with the Spanish and the English rap and the Spanish hip hop. I was not the only one. So I got to meet other artists in New York City that was rapping in Spanish because they had the same experience as me. You know, they had the same. So we will get together, and there will be the Dominicans from Uptown. They had their own social thing because the Puerto Ricans were leaking. The records were getting leaked to Dominican Republic, to Colombia, and I mean, so now I'll be in Corona with my Colombian hip hop, Spanish hip hop friends. We speak English. You know, we were born and raised in New York City, but we all spit Spanish hip hop. You know what I mean? Because we love the.
But then there's also like the other side of it too, which is like if you do start to appreciate these cultures, it's worth pointing out that you're still seeing like an outside snapshot till you're like really in it. Like you can see New York from the outside, but until you really come to New York, you can't really breathe the air and feel the energy. And it is kind of one of those indescribable things. Everybody from New York will throw a nah, I mean on that and just like understand it. But like, I mean, it's what it is.
Yeah, I got you. I get it. I get it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But like,
you know what I mean? Just like
everybody in New York understands it. You know,
every time.
That's kind of like you good.
It's
good.
Like, remember, like you
or you good.
It depends how you say it.
On how you say it.
You know what I mean? Or nah, I mean. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean?
So it's like we're just remembering that when you do discover new stuff, because I know a ton of people that never been anywhere, and then they discover stuff, and now all of a sudden they're hip hop experts. And then doing this perspective show, I talk to a lot of people that, like you yourself, you've been around in the hip hop times, in the hip hop places. Your opinion on the matter is much stronger than me and my Canadian homies.
Right.
But
I gotta butt in right there because one of the dopest producers I worked with in like 04, 05 was from I think Montreal. His name was DJ Mystico, and he was the one that was sending us beats because he was the only one that was matching the sound of Puerto Rico.
Right.
You know the way it really, and I
we
the kid was from Colombia
have a whole lot
or from
Spanish
Ecuador. But his name is DJ Mystico. His name, I don't know if that's where he goes. But I don't know if he's still active in the music. But he was definitely had that sound. That was like, okay, it's what's going on in PR, but it's different. You know what I mean? And he was blessed with my beats, and I got to write some dope records.
Yeah, there's no. I think what you're referring to is more like the knowledge.
Yeah,
our knowledge is more.
Because like I'm sure that, but
right?
it's also like DJ Mystico is obviously somebody then that been to New York, and like been a part of something.
Right.
He's not just like up until last November, like 2021. I'd never been here. Everything in my experience
it was all through online, right?
Or like the movies, or what my homies who'd been there had said. It's all almost here, and the way people describe it, and then you go there, and it's like you have your own experiences.
Yeah, you have your own experience,
and then you talk to the people here and hear what they have to say. And then it's like, all right, I had the chance to go to Pakistan, and it's like you can think what you want, but when you talk to a guy your age over there, and you're like, homie's just trying to get laid too, and it's like, you know, you have these different experiences. Then you look at how the internet breaks down culture, and they're just completely different things. So especially with stuff like music, it's like if you can't, a lot of people will judge things and try to shit on things they don't understand, but also put no effort into going to the environment, like what you were saying with the Drake thing.
Yeah, it's like
just kind of tie it all up to that.
Don't watch that movie. That sucks. I'm like, but let me watch it.
Let me watch it.
And you know how many movies they shit it on, and I'm like, when I watch it, it's like
I enjoyed this. Yeah,
like shit. This is dope. They bugging.
It's different.
It's all about the way you see life.
Yeah, exactly. It's different perspectives.
Some people have dry humor. You know what I mean?
Perspectives.
You should have.
We should get like a perspective
buttons.
But we need like to decide what to do with it.
Yeah.
It'd be like
this is our first time.
We have like fun house. Everybody starts screaming, "Oh, the word!" You know that?
Oh shit, that'd be super cool.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Still.
The word of the day.
Let's go back to it, Danny. So now you're rapping. You're doing. Matter of fact, let's get. Is this around the time that you meet this DJ Mystico? Or
Oh no, this is all through online stuff too as well. Yeah.
okay,
With my boy Nostad, which he had to connect with this producer who was doing his beats. So every time I record with his little home studio setup, he'd be like, "Yo, rhyme over this beat." I'm like, "Yo, whose beat is this? It's dope." He goes, "That's my boy." So that's how we got to meet Mystico.
what year is this?
This is like 04.
Okay.
Yeah, and then working on demos. Then I meet with my crowd, I get my little shows, my little showcases. As I bring, you can bring your little entourage, your little crew that's gonna hold you down.
Mhm.
That one that's helping you put flyers up, posters up,
Mhm.
and helping you sell these CDs. And then I met my boy Rock, Low, Fish, with SPMG, and they were like, "Yo, you talented, bro. I think you got it. Let's put some money behind them, and let's promote them out there.
Right.
Let's go to these. Let's record a demo and make like 1,000 copies. Let's see what happens."
Right.
Next thing you know, we sold like from 1,000 copies out the trunk. We'll go jeweled up, looking fresh.
Right.
Not like the way some people would be hustling out there, all crazy, looking bummy. No, we didn't need no bread, and at that time I didn't need the money.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were just hustling and we were getting bread. And then we'll pull up with a
Super ahead of the curve.
fly
What year did
car.
you
This
say?
is like now
04?
we're like 05 now.
05.
Now we're like 05,
Super ahead of the
06.
curve.
Bro, I'm talking about, if everybody knows from the music world, I had the biggest Jesus piece, Cuban, looking jig everywhere with the squad. Everybody's fly. You're gonna buy a $5 CD.
Yeah.
If not, if you don't got it, take it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Take it.
Because
We'll go
that's
to
the
Harlem.
thing. That's the thing that when you got it like that, it's
Just hear me out.
Yeah. There's certain people that I'm gonna be like, yo,
and
yeah,
dead
take it for
ass.
free.
There's a percentage of people that when you give it to them for free will feel bad and pay you stills.
Bro, there's people that'll give me $40, $50. They'll be like, here,
More
bam.
than what you're asking for.
Yeah, just like
absolutely.
keep doing your thing.
Yeah.
But they know because just for the show already, they're like, wait a second, you got a fly car outside, rimmed up, super. They all jigged out, they all jeweled up. They don't care about the bread. They like want you to listen, but that brings crowds.
Yeah.
It brings the
So
crowd. It's
so
all
there's a
perception.
big knowledge, right?
It's all an illusion. You know what I mean?
But bigger than that,
yeah.
I think, because I know a lot of independent artists right now, and a lot of people, they make it a little abundantly clear they're trying to sell what they're trying to sell, right? And the way that you're presenting it is you had a lot higher success, and as he's saying, it's forward thinking from back then, by presenting yourself in such a way where you don't need the money, and so it's not thirsty. It's like when you're looking for pussy.
Yeah.
If you're coming on too strong, it's not
Right,
gonna
it was
go.
just coming to us. Like, we're just parked in the front of Rincon Musical. Remember Rincon Musical? Like 116, the music hut and all that.
Yes, music
We'll
hut. Yeah.
just pull up.
Yeah.
Pull up the whips there, 4 or 5 whips rimmed up, everybody fly,
Yes.
it just, the attention comes, blasting the music in the street.
Word.
The attention comes to you.
You guys were the new generation of salsa.
SPMG, just like that.
Right, like before, what was it before that? It was in the 70s, 80s, when Héctor Lavoe and La Gran Cumbia and
The Gran Combo, yeah.
Gran Combo and all those groups are coming up and they're stunting.
Yeah.
And they're pulling up
Yeah.
to the front of the spot like that. And then now here goes a couple generations removed, and here comes you, and you know what I mean? Like you guys are doing
I got
this.
SPMG, the crew, SPMG Entertainment takes me under their wing. They're like, yo, this is how we're gonna. This is the plan. We're gonna look. This is how we're gonna look.
Word.
Lit.
But we already on.
Did you guys tour and shit?
We got to go on a little mini tour. So then I get on this unsigned hype column on the Source. The first Spanish rapper I have is documented too.
Word.
The first Spanish rapper to be on the unsigned hype column when the Source Latino came out.
Word.
Was with Dago's on the cover.
Word.
So I'm in the unsigned hype column. Gets the attention of Zingy Records. Zingy Records, remember? Because I came in a weird time in the music industry.
Right.
It was like 06, 7, 8. That era right there.
I feel you.
Was very weird.
That was my era. That was our era when we came in and we didn't. The music industry didn't want us.
Yeah, it was a very
And
big
then-
nobody.
and
The
then-
record labels
and
wasn't making money.
The record labels weren't making money,
Shit was going
and they
crazy.
didn't want to take on any new artists.
Yeah,
They only
They
wanted
didn't know
to
what to
ride
do.
out
It
with
was
the
in-
major
record
artists that
industry
they
was in
had.
shambles.
Yeah, no, it was.
They didn't know what.
fucked up.
This is what.
And-
This is the ringtone era.
and all these new outlets and ways of doing it still weren't the way.
Yeah,
So
nobody
it was
knows. There was
getting-
no streaming.
So it's
the
almost
closest
like
thing was MySpace.
you know what it's almost like.
And
It's
yeah, the
almost
Napster
like
world where everything
uh,
was getting
it's
stolen.
almost like Kim Kardashian, right? Like she didn't get respected in the fashion world in Hollywood until Kanye got with her and starts right like co-signing and making these declarations and this and that. Why? Because you're just reality TV. You're just
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
she
I
was
mean.
labeled
So
already.
it's that attitude. You know what I'm saying? And like that's what it was like back then. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't want us, and it was really hard to find a lane when we come from New York where the record labels are right downtown. So we're looking at the record labels like, yo, this is what we know. You know what I'm saying? Go
Yeah,
downtown,
yeah.
get a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a
there's
natural.
It wasn't like it wasn't like in other places where it's like start our own studio, build our own record
Yeah, it was
label,
none of that.
do it independent. In New York, we had the record labels downtown Manhattan.
Right.
So
It was it was a very weird era. It was a ringtone era.
yeah,
So now,
everything on
with
the phone.
SPMG, Solo Pa Mi Gente.
Mm-hmm.
So we got our crew. Our mentality was like we're gonna go to these labels as a record company ourselves. You know what I mean? So we get signed to a ringtone label. It's like I was gonna be like the first digital artist with a full album, like in a digital world. This is before streaming, before all that. I had
Ringtone
a digital
makeable
contract already.
Word.
Hold on.
I had a
crazy.
digital contract before
That's
Spotify, before.
So what does
all
a
that.
digital contract entail?
Back then.
Well, it was a ringtone company working on my album,
So
which
like,
was going to get distributed digitally and physically at that time. This is 06, 07.
okay.
So we get signed a traditional contract, but I'm getting 12.5 points. Like
Wow,
at the
that's
time,
really
only
good.
Eminem or something would have
Yeah, no,
that.
that's
I
really
had a great
good. Yeah,
contract.
that's amazing.
And in 07, that's like Eminem will have 12 points. Or somebody, that already had like 4 or 5 albums and very successful would get a contract like the way I had. Good contract. They fly me out. Cool and Dre was working on my album. They were producing my whole
Wow,
album.
that's
So a
crazy.
Spanish rapper, kid from Bushwick,
Right.
in a digital contract
with Cool and
with
Dre.
Cool and Dre in the Hit Factory. I got
In
Little
the
Wayne
Hit
upstairs in the
Factory.
Hit Factory.
Nice.
Yeah, North Miami. You be LL Cool J over there, Little Wayne upstairs, Birdman over there.
That's crazy.
You see Missy walking around the parking lot, and Ricky Iglesias, and I'm like around all this.
Right.
And I'm like,
That's wild.
So it was dope. Like I've been in the music industry,
Right.
but like again, it was in a wrong time of music.
Wrong time.
It was
So
wrong time.
how did that story pan out? Like
I kept rocking out. I was making noise in New York City, in certain other spots, and I guess the parent company in Japan didn't make what they had to make in that time, and they had to dip in
justify the
back from the other labels. Yeah, so you know what? They were like, we have to pull away from the project,
Right.
but you own your masters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it was kind of like disappointing because the record labels didn't know what to do. They were just
Right.
probably signing people probably for a tax write-off. I don't know what was going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they don't understand
if
how
they're
to
like
make a lot of
foreign
this
people
stuff work at
too,
first.
like sometimes foreign rich people just be like, yo, if you look at how they treat art, sometimes they just be copying your shit just because they know that if you like blow, the investment, and I think there's a capital gains or whatever.
Oh no,
attached
but
to
I
it.
respect that.
But
It's all
like,
good.
so like, it's all like people gambling in a sense.
Yeah.
Foreign people do that shit all the time where they'll start record labels or whatever, hot fat, especially with new tech.
You can hit or miss.
Just because if it hits, it hits.
Yeah.
But they're not really running L's because big picture, their hits pay for all the L's.
Right. But yeah, fast forward, where with the music that didn't go anywhere with the record label, but we still grinding. We're still grinding and rocking out there. But then it wasn't in my heart anymore. It wasn't in my heart with the music. It wasn't in my heart. And but I love it. But if being an artist wasn't there, but I still got that clip. I still
Right.
got it. I still got it right here.
Right.
So
You
now
still got
that
that-
now that I'm
still
in the
got that
art
blade.
world, yeah, I'm in the art world, and now everybody's gonna know this. I'm in the art world, and I have a lot of celebrity clients that are in the rap industry, in the music industry, record companies, all that. So, and by the way, not only that I do art, I do this. Boom, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm gonna be recording. I'm gonna be doing a couple of records soon.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna be getting back into the music, and now have fun. The way I treat my art.
Wait, to do
Yeah, I'm gonna drop
the
a couple of
same type
singles.
the same type of music from
Yeah. So Spanish hip hop.
Word.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah,
me
definitely.
know.
We gotta
No,
get in the
I-
lab
Yeah,
and create something.
definitely,
Yeah.
I'd love to
definitely.
hear that.
So then I do
Definitely.
it's like Spanglish, like you know how
Yeah,
So I mix it up. I'm gonna let you guys listen to a couple of records.
That's
So if
hard.
anybody want to listen to my old music, it's go to Chavito BK. Chavito BK on YouTube.
Yo, can you
and
can you
get to
spell
see all
that just for the people?
CHAVITO BK.
Perfect.
Chavito BK.
Word.
Yeah, so definitely
Yeah, I'm
You ain't gonna-
definitely
you're
want to
gonna
hear
love
that.
Yeah.
Like, yo,
Yeah, no,
and a
because
lot of
he's
people
looking you up from like the name now, right?
because I
You
didn't,
never
I had
know.
no idea. I came
Yeah,
into
nah.
this like
I didn't know
Danny
either, though.
Cortes, NYC. And then like nobody else is really talking. I mean, you mentioned music a bit here
Right.
and there, but people be wildly talking about the art.
Yeah,
and
the
your
art, yeah.
and like your creation process is mad documented at this point.
Absolutely.
So, right. And I know you love Rust and things.
Yeah, it's gotta
And,
be
like,
gritty.
And like, so like that's out there, but the whole music grind, this is wildly cool.
Yeah.
And I am very curious
No, I
about
think
what the
that-
sounds are. But also Spanish is like big in Canada, at least in
Yeah,
Montreal.
yeah.
It's all over. No, it's
Yeah.
international.
So like,
International, bro. And I
Bad
saw
Bunny-
that in 1996. I saw that this was gonna happen. I saw it. Same thing with my art. As soon as I sat down during the quarantine and pandemic, when like I played around with it before the pandemic and quarantine, all that bullshit. But I never had time.
right.
Having a 9 to 5, working all sorts of jobs and everything. I love it, but I wasn't dedicated. So now that God resetted the world, now I have all the time in the world. So I have
to
no
focus.
excuse to wake up in the morning. Excuse me. No excuse for nothing.
You
So
want some water?
yes, please. And that's why I started getting better and better. Every piece kept getting better. And yeah.
No, they're really great pieces.
So the same way I treated my art is how I was doing with the music. I was really invested 100%. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, nah.
I was invested 100% in it, and I'm kind of blessed that way. That there's a lot of things that I do. Like if anything I put my mind to it, it's like a blessing that I have that I sort of dive deep into it.
There's also like a huge lesson there, because I'm fascinated by people's stories, right? And so like you could look at it like you pursued music, you did it to the max, you got all the accomplishments,
Yes.
and then the passion goes away for a minute. You deal with life, you find a new passion, which diversifies your art portfolio,
Mhm.
right? And because of that, you've basically alluded to unlocking channels that are now going to make music.
Absolutely. All
So-
the doors that were closed in the music industry, my art is opening.
So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, this podcasting thing has unlocked a lot of doors in my life, because it's like, you can make music as much as you want, but you don't necessarily get the networking opportunities, or you're not as interesting if you're just like doing one thing at a certain age. And I think like the main lesson in that for people is that like maybe if your main passion isn't 100% doing what you want it to do, it's worth looking at number 2 or number 3 passion to add to your portfolio,
Right.
just to put you in different rooms with different people in a different light.
Right.
And then you get maybe better conversations than you were getting because your approach has changed or the way you see things has changed. I guess a different perspective.
Wow.
Perspective.
Yeah, perspective. Yes.
Yeah.
But I just say to the kids out there, anyone that wants to get in my world with the miniatures or in anything that you want to do, is I just recommend you just work from the heart first, straight passion. You don't want to just do it because it's the fad. It's or you see me, accomplishing some stuff, but do it because you want to do it. Do it because you love it. Don't
Right.
think about the money.
Right.
Think about the artwork, the creativity. Study the artist before you, and the money's gonna come regardless.
Right.
So just the money won't mean shit. The art don't mean shit if you're thinking about the money.
Facts.
So just work from your heart, and that's what I can say, man. And just be positive. It's gonna come. Remember, a drop of water can make a hole on a rock. You got to be consistent. Eventually, that drop of water is gonna make a hole on that rock. So consistency is key. Passion is key, and just do you.
Facts.
Burr.
Facts, yo.
Facts.
Nah, that's I mean, listen, that's right. Like, in the music industry, we refer to it as like what 500 hours, right? But like
10,000.
that's like everywhere and everything.
You
Like,
say 10,000 hours will make you a master.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think
5,000 hours makes you a professional. 10,000 makes you a
a
master.
master.
You
And
know
I'm
what
not
I mean?
even 10,000 hours yet, I think. No.
But this what it is. Like it's what you put into it. And like we all just get better. Look, I was just thinking myself, like, as I was coming here, I was just like, man, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like the older I get, the more I see the rhythm of life. You know what I mean? The easier it is for me to identify the pulse and the rhythm.
Right.
Like and to see it all kind of like a like a symphony of just like beautiful choreography and dancing, and you know what I'm saying?
Experience gets that.
Makes that, yeah. And then you just see it, and like sometimes I know how to stay out of some shit,
Right.
and you know what I mean, and I know how to get involved in some shit. I know when to like fall back. I know when to like put the pedal to the metal.
Right.
It's your timing becomes much more proficient, and it almost feels like probably what like a boxer feels like.
Right, it's like
You
when
know
you
what
got
I'm
that
saying?
groove,
Like,
right? Where
it's
it's like when you got a
woo!
dope record on stage.
Yeah.
Have you killed the stage
Yeah.
performance so much that you don't remember what happened?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Everything's like a
And
blur.
It's just like it's a blur. Yeah,
It's a blur, but
watch.
everybody's like, "Yo, you killed that!"
Yeah.
I got that plenty of times, and that's what's going on right now in the art world. That is like I walk the streets, and the fans salute me in the street, and I've been like, "Wow, it's incredible." That's something that was going through the pandemic when I was going through a dark time in my life. Now I'm going through a depression. Now we in a quarantine, so all that's it's like eating me. But I got to come out of that with just a passion and falling in love with art. And it's just now I'm talking to my favorite artists like Ghostface calling me.
Right.
I'm working on a big movie set, like set design type thing for podcast, movies, videos with Jim Jones.
Oh,
with,
that's dope.
yeah, with product. Worked with Nas and Mass Appeal with
That's
this boombox that's
dope.
about to drop. So much. I just did the NEMS like you saw the NEMS store.
Yeah.
It was an honor to recreate that for him.
Yeah.
It's so much that had been going on, like these art shows. I went from working on a homeless shelter to selling my art in Sotheby's. I did so much, and this year's part 2 is coming.
Sotheby's is like, I think, like that's like the like right, like let me tell you something. I have no shame in bragging about my friends and like their accomplishments. I look at them as like, yo, this is amazing. This is beautiful. This is to be celebrated.
Yeah. If
and
you
like,
win, I win.
And bragging about the accomplishments of my friends is like, it's not like I'm bragging about it like I get any wins off of it.
Right.
I'm bragging about it like, yo, I know somebody who's
That's doing their thing.
that's amazing at this thing. You know what I'm saying? And like the Sotheby's name is just like, yo, it's a big win in their world,
Yeah,
right?
their world, yeah.
And to operate
Yeah,
in this
just
world.
so people don't know, it's an art auction house that's like super mad prestigious. Right?
Yeah,
It's
no,
a
I was gonna get to
prestige
I was gonna
art
get to that.
house,
That was
yeah.
what I was leading to.
My
yeah.
bad.
Right. So this is what I'm saying is like, yo, like it's not a lot of people get to have that accomplishment. So like for you to have that accomplishment, right? Like you blended, you accomplished in your own world, in our world, in the culture, right?
Yes.
Like, cause that's where you made yourself popping. I'm
Right.
pretty sure,
Yeah,
right?
this is
It's
what
us.
it's, yeah,
The
of course.
culture
A
amongst
culture of us.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Because you guys could relate to
and
the
then
art.
we in turn are like, oh, this is ill, and we tell our friends, and then their friends like,
It
oh,
just
this
starts
is ill. It
wildfire. That's
spreads
exactly what happened.
because
bro.
it was beautiful, good, hard work, right? And then next thing you know, these other people are taking notice.
right.
And now you're known in Sotheby's. Can you tell the people what Sotheby's is and like
Sotheby's is a auction house, a very prestige auction house. They've been in business longer than America as a country.
Yup.
You know, they've
Yeah.
been like to the early 1700s, I believe. They've been in business. They are British in the
Mhm.
UK,
Mm-hmm.
London, or somewhere like that. But yeah, that's. I got the call from just posting. I came out on the Daily News first, and then I was already working for myself. I had quit the homeless shelter, working for myself. Called the PO because I was going through something right there. Called the probation officer. Yo, dude, can I quit my job, bro? He's like, you better. Lucky I had the best
Right.
probation officer that actually didn't care about numbers. He cared about what I wanted to do. He
Right.
didn't care
Wow.
about,
No,
like the
that's super
system, like the
big.
system that cares about all the numbers and, this and that. No, it's all about what's going to benefit me. What do I like to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of just getting a regular 9-to-5 job, which I did. But he's like, what makes you happy? What can you do to bring you money? You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
legit and everything. But anyway, going with that, I get this call from Sotheby's, and knowing that they asking me questions, they love my art, if I'm interested in selling, their prestige auction house. I looked them up. I see the range, millions of dollars of art that they sell, but I wasn't convinced. Like it wasn't like I didn't care
Right.
because I didn't not because I thought that was the shit. It's because I have no knowledge of it. I'm just
Yeah, you
so
didn't-
naive
Right.
of
That
the world
is-
because I don't come from
To
that.
you, you're like
I'm like,
the
okay,
win
all right.
is getting popping amongst us.
Amongst us on the hip hop culture.
Yeah, in hip hop.
Yeah, hip hop culture.
You know?
A call from Ghostface that he wants to work with me is like, wow,
That's-
that's Sotheby's to me.
That's Sotheby's.
You know what I
right,
mean?
Right.
So I hit up my art boys like that in the art world, like, yo, dude, Sotheby's called me, this company or what auction house. They want to sell my art. And they're like, dude, you serious, bro? I'm like, yeah, why? What's wrong? I shouldn't? They're like, nah, dude, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you going to the Super
You're
Bowl.
going to the Grammys
yeah,
of the
you
art
going
world.
to the Grammys, the Oscars.
They said, watch what's gonna happen. You think you popping now?
Yeah.
Watch.
Yeah.
And to the formal art people that been trying, and been in the art world for years. There's people that are 30 years in the art world that can't get in there.
Mhm.
Not trying to shit on nobody on that.
No,
It's
no.
just some people look at me on like a sellout. There's people that look at you like you know what I mean? Because the formal art guys, like the starving artist type. No, I'm not doing that. It takes
Nah,
away from my art, which I respect. That's how
That's how
that's
they
what
feel.
you feel. Hey, I don't come from that world.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I think that's an
Let me
accomplishment.
say something. In our world, in this hip hop culture,
It's a guess, but
right? Yeah, it's about doing fly shit.
it's about fly shit.
Fly shit, period. Like, we don't care who, what, where, when, why. All we know and care is that it's gotta be fly
That's
shit.
what I'm saying. I'm doing an opportunity. I'm not hurting anybody,
guess
and I'm
what?
not shitting on
In
anybody.
their world, there's things that we do that's fly shit to them. And
Right.
there's shit in their world that they think that
Yeah.
we do that is not fly shit to them.
It's
But guess what? It's the same thing in reverse, right? Like, yo, hip hop as a whole, right? Like, doesn't, it approves and disapproves.
Yeah, if you do a Sprite commercial in the 90s, you'll sell out, right?
Right. I mean, there's just, I'm thinking about art that I'm pretty sure there's like art that hip hop as a whole really don't give a fuck about.
But that's a very small hand that pigeoned me on that, like, dude, I don't care.
Nah.
I don't care.
I think it's really just,
I'm not trying to hate on their point of view.
I think it's their hang up.
I think that point of view is honestly a defense mechanism.
Yeah, defensive
for the fact that they're not
there. Yeah.
Like it's essentially just being a hater. Because
But
I don't know. I've never been a starving artist since I'm not saying I've been rich, but I've always had a job, so I was blessed in that regard. And I was just able to like pay engineers and pay the graphic designers and shit. And the only people I know that ever really preach this nobility in art, they're the people that they can't afford it on some regular life shit. And then so they look for like this collective reasoning that you should become the DIY guy, and then they put all that time they could into like developing a monetizable skill into like this next thing, just because like somehow it makes your art more pure. I'm like, I don't know about that.
I don't know what I don't know what that means, because I think what's pure to you, to the next guy might look at it like it's corny. You know what I mean? Like what's common to me ain't common for the next guy, right?
Yeah, no, listen, there's art to me. To
There's
this day,
art that I can understand.
I don't understand. For the most part, I don't understand
But I don't knock
traditional art. But I don't knock it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I need to see, experience it myself, stand in front of it to see if I feel anything. Unfortunately, a majority of the time that I've done that, I have felt nothing. I still have many times that I've experienced other forms of art that I'm like, this touches me the way I'm pretty sure the Mona Lisa touches people who understand the Mona Lisa. Like I look at the Mona Lisa and I'm like, I see the smile, not smile, frown or whatever that everybody else sees, but like that doesn't make me feel anything like that. You know what I mean? But then there's been art that has come out in mediums that people in the art world would not consider art, that I'm like, this is way more art. Like, even to this day, like, there's that AI thing online. That,
I've been seeing that a lot. There's like this trending thing going on.
And I'm like, I look at, it's so crazy because I look at like they do this thing where like they ask you to like describe something, and then like kind of put like kind of like in the art style of Basquiat or whatever, but like they don't ever include like in the art style of Jim Lee. You know what I mean? Like they don't put like in the art style of Jack Kirby. You know what I mean? Like there should exist. Like comic book artists should be respected in the same vein as classically trained artists, painting artists, because it's like, it's an art form too. But it's, again, these are these things that they don't, until they feel like
that you said that,
right? Until they feel like it happens with movies.
I like that you said
superhero movies don't get no credit right now, right? But the one that they did decide upon was like, you know what? We're gonna Heath Ledger passed away. This movie does get to count. Everything else doesn't get to count. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then something else comes along. Black Panther, we let it count in this way and that way. It don't count in these other ways.
See, my art, when I started doing it during the pandemic, right? I was like boxed in this like toy world. So like toy photography would like people buy my art. People just like collect some dope stuff for their man cave. But it was more for like action figure collectors, stuff like that. But like mentally, I would work on these pieces, and it was like if I was speaking it to existence, but I was mentally doing it. I was always seeing my piece. How would it look if my piece was on a white wall with a light on it? I kept seeing my pieces, a white wall with a light on it. Sure enough, I was manifesting galleries.
Word.
So not only that, I'm getting stuck in this community, which is dope, because the toy community was the one that pushed me. I got my couple of thousand followers off them, and they always
Yeah, yeah.
my first couple of bucks was through the toy community.
Right.
But I just like saw it in galleries, and then when everybody would come visit my house, like the friends would be like, "Yo, that's dope. You got to keep going. I could see that in the gallery or this. You could sell it. You could make money." But I was like, "All right."
Right.
But I was preparing it for something bigger, and I say that power of meditation and having a lot of faith
Yeah.
in your work,
Believing in yourself.
believing in yourself does play a
Speaking
part.
things into power.
That does work. That works. That's
yeah.
a real thing.
I mean, you just said
Faith is a real thing.
Right.
When you think something over and over, and you don't care what's going around you,
Yeah.
and you're just rocking, it happens.
Right.
It happens.
Big facts.
Word, bro.
Nah, that's definite. That's 100%. Like, a lot of people aren't aware of that.
That's a real thing.
The power of positive thought.
Yeah, that's a real
and believing
thing.
in yourself. Nobody's gonna believe in you if you don't believe in yourself.
All you got is you, because at the end of the day,
I mean, it's pretty
you
much
with yourself.
But it's even like it manifests everywhere. Like if you look at how companies run, they come up with a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan, and then everything they do is manifesting a reality.
Yeah,
and that,
people want instant, fast stuff. It doesn't
It's
happen
essentially
overnight.
nothing-
Even though I'm like supposed to be in the art world overnight,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
fast.
Yeah,
but
no.
it was a long road.
Nah, it's a long
a lot
road.
of practice.
There's no
Yeah.
all
And,
those
like,
years
and
of
just
being
to,
a New
like-
Yorker and
Yeah,
figuring
all that
these
happens.
things
Yeah, I had to
out.
study that. You know what? I like that again. My mind is dropping jewels, because in order for me to just do this, I had to live it.
But
I had to live here.
I had to live here and see this. You know what I mean? There's artists in Germany. There's people in
They can't
in
imitate
all
it
that.
the same
They
way.
do with the same style that I do everything art. We all do, but it's something that little Easter eggs that I put in my work, that a true New
Mhm.
Yorker, a person that appreciate. Not even if you're from New York, you could be a kid and they'll appreciate it just because it looks aesthetically dope. A person that doesn't come from these surroundings will appreciate it because it's dope.
yeah,
Right.
no. I mean,
And then we got the ones that lived it. So it's like I'm hitting every
Experience.
demographic.
Yo, you can't.
know?
There's no price point for experience points.
Brought it up.
But it was also
Boom,
just to like
bars.
say, even though like you say you started doing this in the pandemic, you have a 10+ year hip hop career behind that as well. That's like it's a long
So you
road
know what? Yeah.
that comes from so many different perspectives and different inspiration points.
Experiences.
Because there's no way that being in the hip hop world didn't put you in a situation that made a lot of the grimier aesthetic look more appealing, or puts it beauty. Because like,
Right.
let's be real, a lot of like my fascination and love for like the graffiti cultures and this kind of even your art, absolutely my first thought is hip hop.
Right.
It just
Yes,
brings me to
yes, Yes.
that, and it's on
Yes.
some New York
Nah,
shit.
it's the that's what I'm saying. Like he's
That's
the
why-
curator of our culture.
Our culture.
This is our culture. That's a part of hip hop culture right there. All those things
When is
are.
this gonna drop? You know?
I mean,
This
I
is-
was trying to aim for like this one dropping first, so hopefully February.
Okay, cool, cool.
I'll keep you updated on everything.
All right,
Yeah.
because January 25th, there's you probably might see this after, but January 25th, maybe I could plug this for it. It's, chop it up and put
Yo,
it
we
in another
can
segment.
do what we can to get the plug out on time.
Yeah,
Right.
January 25th to the 29th. I'm gonna be doing a group show with Buster One, Charlie Doves, Joe Conzo, Peter Paid, Jeff Enriquez, dope artist, and all of us, we do all different types of art, but it all complements each other because you got
Word.
photography, realism, graffiti, just all signage,
Word.
all complements each other. So that's, if you want to check out my work and the group show, January 25th, curated by Kate, at 1 Warren Street.
Lit.
Oh,
Yeah.
in person.
One
right,
art gallery, yeah.
Word.
February 4th, Basin Gallery. And then somewhere around March, April, I'm planning on my second solo show.
Word.
And that would be like selling your art kind of show, just for context.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. All art galleries.
Yeah.
That's-
Straight seller, yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
it's
It's
self.
not until
But it
until
brings- it just-
you get
you can
put in
enjoy,
a
you don't have to
museum
buy.
that it's like no longer for sale.
just-
you know what I
yeah.
mean? art is always for sale. Even
I
when
think
it's in
even
your
the mu-
home.
even when it's in a
Even
museum,
when
it's for sale.
Right, and even when it's in your home, it's for sale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everything goes in my world.
Because in any world, you know, like there,
Yeah,
you can always come through. Like if I want it bad enough, you know what I mean?
Word.
I'm gonna keep, you know, and that's how we used to rock in New York, right? If I wanted something that you had bad enough, and we friends, right? Like it'd be like, yo, I keep coming back. Like, how about I trade you
Yeah.
for a card, right?
Word.
Like I'll trade you.
I'll trade you two Don Madeleines, a Donald Strawberry for your Jose Canseco.
How about, and then you start, like, it depends on how much you hold out, depending on how crazy,
I'm saying
how much a guy wants it. I've fucking done all sorts of, like, put
trades.
together. I'll give you my Ken Griffey rookie card with this,
with Cal Ripken.
you know what I mean? And then with this, like, G.I. Joe, with, like, yo, it's a package, bro.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm,
It's
to get what I want.
The art of barter.
To get what I want, the art of barter.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that rich people feel like that about everything too.
Yeah.
Like, yo,
they're like,
it
how
don't
can
matter.
I not pay you just for the fun of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you have that could benefit me
That I can't buy.
that you can't buy, but we could have an even exchange, and it's a go. I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with artists. So I got some pieces.
Yeah.
From artists that you
Yeah.
know doing numbers.
I mean,
Because they want to. I got a piece. Well, with I'm working with Cope too.
Oh, word.
Yes, that's
so
legendary.
dope.
Yeah, so instead
That's
of
so dope.
money is money. Like fuck money. What's
Let me get a piece.
Let me get one of your ears.
Let me get a
go.
piece. Yeah.
You know?
Let me get some. Right.
Yeah, but I'm so grateful that all my artists and it's spread out. It's now from being at my mom's house in a little tiny room during the pandemic. It's sitting in a mansion in London, mansion in Hollywood.
That's crazy flexes.
And yeah, man.
Like that, just thinking of flexes, like, yo, my shit's so hard, it's in mansions in other countries.
Word up. When I get these videos, they send it back, I'm like, damn, bro. Came a long way, even if it's a short time. We came a long way.
Short time.
Yeah.
This is a blessing, though.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's all, let me tell you, that comes from, right, doing good work, hard work. You know, like, I mean, don't get it twisted, right? Like, there's blessings that come from doing bad, right? Like, there's all sorts of wealthy, evil people on earth.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like, one of those, like, it's faded things doesn't exist, right? But it goes to show you that sometimes you put in the right work, the hard work, clean work, good work, and you get the respect, the admiration, and people notice what you're doing.
Right.
Facts.
Yeah. I don't want to cut this short, but I know we have a time span and we got to film some promo shit after
We do
this.
have
Yeah,
to film
so
some
good,
promo
man.
shit.
So
it was a pleasure rocking out, y'all,
This
man.
is,
No, I think that we really
excellent.
We touched a lot.
We
a
really
lot of
reached the
bases.
When
we
we
really
breach the
reached
2-hour mark,
Okay.
which we have done, we are well past 2 hours now.
No,
That is the
but
proof
also
that
we reached
you.
the end of his.
No, if it was like that, we'll be here all night.
We caught up. We caught up.
But
Yeah,
even
we
then,
caught up.
like,
Yeah.
it took forever to get started because the man is just so interesting. Like, we talked to a lot of different people, and like, you're definitely on the interesting life experience, can talk about anything kind of vibe.
Yeah,
and
I think
that makes
that's
for
how
an
I experienced.
excellent show.
At one point, I forgot that there was cameras here.
That's
Yeah.
that's the shit that makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's that
blessed.
right
Yeah.
there. Because I aim for just a conversation.
Yeah, it was a straight conversation.
I always
and
have
this is
said
what we do.
before I was doing this with him for years. My friends would tell me like, "Yo, you need to do a fucking podcast. You need to vlog. You need to vlog. You need to vlog. You need to do a blog. You need to, whatever it was, right? Content. And I just didn't. Now I'm just like, I look at it as like, yo, I just need to record my conversations with my friends because I've always had these type of conversations with my friends.
You know how much stuff I've learned from Joe Rogan and all these other, just sitting down, you can inspire someone in another country.
Absolutely.
Just the way you talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
But yeah, so super great having you. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect, right? I mean, outside of the art world, I feel like we just unlocked all kinds of layers. You name drop people that were like, I kind of wish we'd stop, but we had to keep going. Like, there was a lot more to you. I definitely hope we can get a part 2 in the future because, like, I feel like there's a lot more still.
Absolutely.
When he's having Hollywood knocking on his door, and he's now in movies, then he's gonna have another phase of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Absolutely.
I projected
Absolutely.
and imagined this.
Yes,
so now
absolutely.
After
it's gotta be
this
another
set
conversation.
design that I finish
you know?
up with the
I'm hearing
La
that.
Bodega with Product and Jim Jones. When that's done, that's gonna give a lot of opportunities. It's gonna open a lot of doors.
Nah.
And then they can all follow you at Danny Cortes NYC.
Danny Cortez with a S.
With
Right.
an S.
And then
NYC.
all that's gonna be linked below still.
Thank you. In
We
all
will put
platforms.
we will put all the information in there. Make sure anybody who sees this, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel,
That's right.
leave a comment. We appreciate all the comments.
Yes.
And
if you want to show support more fiscally, patreon.com/perspectives, like the
Yeah.
channel name,
right.
because I don't know what's there yet while we're recording it, but by the time it's live, it will be.
right. I think we're getting like keychains and mugs or something like that. Yo,
Or
we're
like-
gonna
Yo,
do
you
all
should,
the
man. You
things.
should.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
gonna
I
do
already
all
see
the normal Patreon stuff that you would
backpack that's
expect.
coming out.
Yo, it's
Yes.
so hard,
yeah.
bro.
Yo,
Yo, we'll get it
we're
on
gonna
camera.
we're gonna get all that.
camera.
We're gonna
Hell
get
yeah.
all
Or
that.
whatever, it'll pop up. Or you know what? It'll be on
No,
the
it'll be
TikTok,
in
on the
the-
Instagram. It'll be on the social media. So if you want to see the backpack, follow us on social
That's
media.
Right. Follow us on social
we
media.
go.
That's where we'll have the curated posts.
Yo,
Yo,
thank you so much.
No,
All of
thank
it.
you guys.
And y'all watching it, because without you, even though we're not live like we used to be, without you, there's no show. And we look forward to seeing all
We
your
still go
comments.
live.
We will
Like when
still
it
go
airs,
live.
when it airs,
It'll be
it's
live.
airing
But we're not
live.
recording it live, so it's like it's different. There's no chat over
No
there.
chat.
It's a
There's
different
no chat.
vibe.
He's used to.
I'm used to
he
chats
used to-
everywhere.
Straight live. Oh,
no, he's
yeah.
used to doing it on Twitch, and on Twitch,
Twitch, yeah, you
at
put your
home,
comments.
you know what I
yeah.
mean? You got the
Nah.
comments, and it's live. And
And now
now
we're
we're doing it
just
like
How
in
about you do
person.
it like the first half hour? Or the last, first half hour, then everybody gonna get exclusive.
No, it's more like the whole interview used to just be done live.
You
on
know
the
what I'm saying? But
internet.
whatever you could start doing live for like first 15, 20
Yeah,
minutes.
definitely stuff to think about there, but
Yeah.
logistically, it makes it even
Yeah.
harder
Okay.
because we had to get the box and everything just to figure.
Got you.
We're figuring it
Listen,
out
on the
as we
fly.
go.
That's why we need a Patreon, folk.
Word.
Yeah.
Subscribe, hit up the Patreon.
And
Danny, thank you again so much,
Nah, man,
brother.
thanks for
I
having me,
appreciate
man.
you
Thanks
so
for having
much.
me.
Appreciate
Thank you for the
Got
conversation.
it.
Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for the
Part 2 coming
blessing.
soon. Don't worry about
Thank
it.
you
We're
for
gonna
the
rock
blessing
out.
of your presence, yo.
And,
Yeah.
and I
Thank you
feel like
for
home.
and thank you for what you give in the culture.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Facts.
it.
Appreciate you guys.
Everything
For real.
For real.
Facts and live long and prosper, everyone.
Yeah.
Peace, y'all.